and possibly destroyers as well. Possibly in the Persian Gulf, submarines, they don't tell us a location. That could be as far out.
The American
as
media says it was
Mediterranean.
one submarine called the USS Georgia.
So again, location, I'm not sure if that would be Persian Gulf, could be the Mediterranean, could be the North Indian Ocean as well. But this is what I found interesting. By the time those land attack cruise missiles, Tomahawks, actually struck their targets in Natanz and Esfahan, the American B-2s
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's been 3 months when on 22nd of April, these 4 people, these 4 terrorists, these 4 men from Pakistan, trained terrorists from Pakistan, entered into India and massacred 26 people. Innocent civilians were killed. Remember, it was, a local Kashmiri, 25 tourists, including, a Navy officer, people from all walks of life. Men were segregated and butchered in Pahalgam. And from there, a series of events, India's punitive action against Pakistan and Sindoor began. There were tributes, there were a lot of hue and cry. 3 months on, there are some big questions as far as the Pahalgam attack is concerned. And I want to take 6 big questions at this moment which relate to Pahalgam attack, which should be asked, should be answered, because 3 months on, these questions still remain extremely relevant. Where are the 4 terrorists? Where are these 4 terrorists who butchered 26 innocent Indians in Pahalgam? Where are they? We don't know where these people are, where these terrorists are, where these butchers are 3 months on. How did 4 of these terrorists from Pakistan manage to infiltrate in India and carry out this attack? How did they come? We don't know about that. How did they infiltrate into India? Where were they trained? Are they still in Jammu and Kashmir, or have they fled to Pakistan? This needs to be answered. Has there been any probe which has been ordered by the government over the intelligence and the security failure in Pahalgam? Question number 5. The Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir recently, in an interview to a publication, accepted that there was intelligence failure. Then why hasn't any accountability fixed? Why hasn't people responsible for this being punished? And question number 6, like I'm saying, if accountability, if the Lieutenant Governor believes that there was intelligence failure, then when will heads roll? Because the question is, 3 months on, while we have, taken punitive action against Pakistan, but if and when will head roll is a big question. And why is this important? While on one hand, the entire nation backed the government in its punitive action against Pakistan, the true tribute to the innocent people, those who were killed, to 26 Indians, those who were killed, and their families would be after the butchers of Pahalgam are punished and accountability is fixed. Because without scrutiny, transparency, and a fair investigation, lessons won't be learned, and India would be vulnerable to such future Pahalgams as well. And that is why it's important to ask these questions 3 months on after this massacre took place at the Baisaran Valley in Jammu and Kashmir. Let me very quickly at this moment go across to my colleague Nazir Masoodi, who is joining me on the broadcast. Nazir, important questions, and here at NDTV we of course are raising them, but everybody is only talking about one thing. Where are these terrorists?
Well, these pictures of those 4 terrorists, one of them has been killed and 3 of them have been reportedly involved in that massacre. And one was killed almost a year back, so long before the Pahalgam incident. So in this picture, why we show 4 terrorists, 3 have been involved. There have been 3 or 4 terrorists who are involved in Pahalgam terrorist attack. Now, 3 months on, everybody is asking why this glaring Number one, intelligence failure, which government has admitted, and then operational failure to track down the attacker. And it means this attack, we have seen incident, people came out in large numbers and publicly said that we will help security force take us everywhere, anywhere in the jungle. We'll help you to track down the terrorists. But for last 3 months, despite government saying operations have been going on, there's no clue. Literally, they have disappeared in thin air. Nobody knows where they are. And this is not the first incident. There have been more than 24 major attacks since October 2021. In almost every attack, the attackers have managed to escape without suffering any casualty. Same thing happened at Pahalgam, same thing happened at Bison on April 22nd. And since then, no clue where they have disappeared, where they have gone, where they are, what are they planning now.
Very quickly, Nazir, what is the situation on the ground? Have tourists started coming back? What's the situation as far as the tourists are concerned? Because it was a very deserted tourist season for Kashmir after this attack.
Well, everybody knows it has a huge impact on tourism, but it's clearly leaping back to, back. Tourists have started coming. Amarnath Yatra is going on. Good number of yatris are coming under tight and very heavy security. But the larger thing is, tourists will come back one day, if not in this season, in great numbers, maybe next season, but some have come. But the bigger question is, why is the resolve of the country to track down these terrorists when everybody was on the same page that they should be tracked down? Why this operational failure? First, the intelligence failure, then the operational and security failure to track these terrorists down.
Absolutely, Nazir. Well put there. Thank you so much for speaking to us on this. As Nazir was saying, where have they fallen from the face of the earth? It raises questions about our security grid, of how they can come in, create a massacre, kill innocent people, and then vanish from the face of the earth without any retribution. And that needs to be tracked down, and we will do it for our viewers here on NDTV. With that, we are slipping into a very short break, coming back with much more on the other side. Stay tuned.
तू ही तो है जिसकी सच्चाई वाली क्लैरिटी की वजह से मैं आज यहाँ हूँ।
गोल्ड प्लस सिल्वॉक्सी मिरर्स, ऐसी क्लैरिटी कि आपको सिर्फ सच नजर आए, चाहे कितने भी साल बीत जाएं।
आप एक गुंडे कैसे बिहेव कर रहे हो सर? मेरी आप तो एक गायकवाड is running away from NDTV's questions.
That issue is not before the High Command. It was not discussed so far.
Kolhapuri chappals costing $1,300.
The noise we made finally got heard, and it's so nice that somebody took action on it.
Pictures and videos of women that were taken in the Bengaluru metro, now on Church Street and other prominent places in Bengaluru. We managed to arrest both of them.
We are bringing you now, for the very first time, is that the Air India preliminary crash report is out.
This 15-page report into 10 key findings of what really is being said in this probe report.
What's reporting without impact? NDTV 24/7.
Welcome back. Now, Rashraj Films and director Mohit Suri have struck gold with their... What we are seeing, isn't it from, videos which are going viral, people crying, jumping, it's all happening when they have gone to see this movie. What makes this so special and what's happening at this moment?
Okay, let me start with, I am here to watch Sayyara again for the second time, but I didn't get tickets. I looked everywhere. It is Tuesday and it's houseful. So I had to talk to few people to get tickets done. I'm in PVR right now. It's fully packed, and I'm waiting for the people to come out and speak to them. What is making them come here over and over again to watch Sayyara? Let me tell you, Sayyara, people have already started coming out. Sayyara started on a very small release. They had...
Because you have gone twice to watch this movie, I'm waiting for some of your video reactions which will go viral, Abira, after watching this movie, as we have seen it being completely stormed across the social media. Thank you so much for joining us at this moment. That's all the time that we have in this edition of Nationwide at 6. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Thank you so much for being with us.
गोल्ड प्लस ऑप्टिमिस्टिक रिफ्लेक्टिव ग्लास लगाओ, धूप की गर्मी को दूर भगाओ और बिजली का बिल भी बचाओ।
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts August the 23rd. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell them to us as well.
It's a huge problem, Shiv. Let's face it, in as much as we love the Rafale aircraft and the Indian Air Force is completely vouching for it, perhaps they'd like more than 100 more. The Indian Navy has just gotten into an order for 26 Rafale M aircraft. There is a generation gap between the Rafale and the stealth. There is a good reason why a stealth platform is called a 5th generation aircraft and a Rafale is a 4th or 4.5 generation aircraft, and that is low observability. So in as much as the Rafale has brilliant sensors, both in terms of its radar, its defensive suite, its electronic warfare suite, its towed array decoy system, it is not typically a low observability platform in quite the same manner in which a stealth aircraft is. Its design form is different. And therefore, if Pakistan does have low observable aircraft, which would be the J-35, in fact, the first ones might even start entering service or coming into the PAF ahead of entering service.
Hello and welcome to the Southern View. Lots lined up on the show over the next hour, including the top national political action with Vasudha and me. Namaskaram, namaskara, baunnara, nalarkingla Vasudha.
Vanakkam Veera and namaskar to all our viewers. The top focus this evening on the political fallout of the sudden resignation of Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar. A full panel ahead on that, and we'll also focus on Southern film stars in trouble over illegal betting apps.
And the GST face-off in Karnataka, Vasudha, and why traders are saying only cash payments please. But first, let's take you through headlines.
Election Commission trims Bihar vote list by 52 lakh, removes dead, shifted and duplicate voters.
Shashi Tharoor dismisses Kerala Congress leader K. Muralidharan's boycott with "Who is he to say I am not one of them" message. What's next in the Tharoor versus Congress saga?
After more than 60 years of service, the Indian Air Force is all set to retire the iconic MiG-21 fighter jets by September this year, marking a significant shift in India's military aviation history.
Well, first up on the Southern View this evening, the big national story, the political fallout of Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar's sudden resignation last evening. Why did he resign so suddenly at the end of day one of the monsoon session? That's the big question, and Vasudha has been searching for answers, speaking to the power centers across the aisle. Health is the official word, Vasudha. but no one's willing to buy that. The timing only adds to speculation of a deep rupture between him and the ruling establishment.
That's right, Veera. Jagdeep Dhankar, once seen as an expert on constitutional matters and the defender of the government's legislative agenda, had grown increasingly assertive and some say unpredictable. He holds the record for suspending over 160 opposition MPs. The opposition also wanted him out, but that was over a year ago. Things have changed. Talking about recent developments, Jagdeep Dhankar's decision to allow an opposition-backed impeachment motion against Justice Yashwant Verma tied to a controversial cash recovery case was seen as a break from the government's line. Sources said that had he kept the government in the loop, even NDA MPs would have signed. Accountability of judiciary is something that this government has been pushing for. On the day of his resignation, which is Monday, two key ministers skipped a crucial BAC meeting that was chaired by Jagdeep Dhankar. They later clarified that they had informed him, but they had more important parliamentary engagement. So did Jagdeep Dhankar's approval of the impeachment motion against Justice Verma break an unspoken line with the government? Was it all about health? What really was a final trigger for his resignation? That's what we discuss now, and also what happens next. Joining us now is Dr. Kalanidhi Veeraswamy of the DMK. He's an MP from the DMK. We have G. Kumar Nayak, who's also an MP. He's from the Congress party. He's from the Lok Sabha. We also have Amitabh Tiwari, who's a political strategist. Thank you all of you for joining me on this broadcast. Mr. Veeraswamy, to you first, sir. How does the DMK, as an opposition party with significant numbers, look at the recent episode?
Good evening to everybody. Vanakkam. See, the thing is, like you said, it was a very surprising decision, and it was a shocking decision actually, and mainly so because about 10 days back, he had made a statement saying that he will be lasting till 2027 August, till his term completes. But unless there is some kind of a divine intervention. So we wonder what kind of a divine intervention has made him to resign in such a hasty manner, and especially when he had made it very clear that he had no intention of resigning. So we have seen our Prime Minister talking about his divine birth and all those things. So whether there is any divinity from there which has made the Vice President take this kind of a decision. Because if you see what has transpired yesterday, there was a motion where the opposition parties had for the Justice Verma. I mean, the issue was being raised by the opposition parties, which the Vice President had allowed. And the talk is that the BJP ministers and the Prime Minister were unhappy about that. And there was talk that some ministers had spoken to Mr. Dhankar, following which he has gone and met the Honorable President and tendered his resignation. And in fact,
all this is conjuncture at this stage. Yes. Mr. Veeraswamy, all this is conjuncture at this stage. We don't have a BJP spokesperson or a BJP MP in the panel because they've refused to join debate. But Mr. Nayak, the opposition until a few weeks ago was gunning for Mr. Dhankar. What's changed in the opposition stand today that you're turning around the table?
No, good evening. The news has definitely taken all of us by surprise because the Vice President was quite active till the last minute. He chaired a meeting of advisory committee, business advisory committee meeting. So subsequently, after 2-3 hours, the entire scenario has changed and he has resigned. And he has given the grounds that health issues and things like that. Okay, so I think this is not the time right now to start our speculation. He is a very senior constitutional officer. It is important that we give him that dignity and space. Let's wait for a couple of days more, because it's the very first instance in the entire 70 years of history that the Vice President has resigned on this kind of a ground. I feel that we should give him that space.
Okay, fair enough.
All that speculation will start
right.
after a couple of days.
Right, that's a very fair point, and we
also let me point out that he is a.
Yes, sir. Please go on.
And let me just add that he is an extremely proud kind of a politician. We have seen him assert his views at different fora, and he has stood for the welfare of farmers, and he is a very proud person. He is not going to keep quiet for long if he has been hurt to take this stand. Let's wait for the person to cool down, and he will be in public life.
There's a lot of subtext to what you're saying, Mr. Naik, and I think there are so many valid points there.
Yeah.
Mr. Dhankar clearly not somebody who will keep quiet, and he has been, for a Congress person to speak like that, it's also quite intriguing about Jagdeep Dhankar. Dr. Sonal Mansingh, who's a former Rajya Sabha MP, also joins us now. Thank you, Dr. Mansingh, for being part of this broadcast. Ma'am, how do you see this episode of Jagdeep Dhankar's resignation? Do you think that there is something amiss, and what do you remember about your tenure when he was the chairperson?
I was there for almost 2 years, 2.5 years, ever since he came, before my term ended last year. He was certainly, when he came in, he was full of beans, very strong, and of course everyone saw that he was with the government, and opposition was always up to some trick or other, as usual. And he handled them, he tackled them all. He was accused quite often of not giving them time, but I think that has happened down the years anyway. The thing is that health was one issue, of course, that he fell down in Nainital meeting unconscious, and then he was in AIMS, and then he had a stent put in the heart. But the things must have been also building up behind the scene. It can't be so sudden that the Vice President of India resigns. But the tipping point might have been what the gentleman was mentioning. The thing, it must have been building up. It's not so simple. Nothing is as simple as it looks. And I think we should know the real reasons behind. But whatever I heard from several of my colleagues, ex-colleagues, they still keep up with me. It was very unfortunate. It was very, very unfortunate. See, had it been well planned in a way, then he would not have even conducted the first day, the opening day of the monsoon session. And he had planned a trip to Jaipur, I think, today or tomorrow, and all that. So the tipping point came, perhaps, in a way that was not expected. Well, what to say? One can wish him well and thank him for the services he rendered as Vice President and Chairman of Rajya Sabha. But I really pray and hope that there was nothing very, very, hard facts one has to know before one even says something more.
Hard facts one has to know before saying something more. You're making a very, very important point, Sonal Mansingh, there. Amitabh Tiwari, health is the official word. No one's willing to buy that because of the timing there. Till there is categorical clarity, obviously this will open the treasury benches to attack from the opposition, A. And B, more importantly, we have not seen an incident of this nature play out since 2014. So the image and the optics is also one of concern for the BJP.
Yes, clearly, I mean, this has given some ammunition to the opposition, but it also does act as a deflection point on certain important key issues like the discussion on Operation Sindoor or the SIR, etc., etc. So it's also act as a deflection. So they could be diverted towards discussing the resignation of Vice President Dhankar. It also seems that, of course, there will be speculation unless the government comes out with a clear point or the VP himself makes some statement. We will not be able to know exactly what is the reason. It could have been building for some time. It could also be a spur of the moment decision, an emotional decision where he might not have felt well during some exchanges with the government. It also seems that BJP's experiment of appointing non-RSS members on constitutional bodies, including Satyapal Malik, somehow this has not worked politically for them. Correct. So
That's a very
also
important point. Let me ask this question to Dr. Sonal Mansingh. Ma'am, I want to come back to what you were talking about. Do you see the Jagdeep Dhankar's appointment as also out of the ordinary? And like Mr. Tiwari is saying, that does it make more sense to have people who are ideologically grounded in important posts, especially when the BJP is ruling? Does it really suit the party better?
I'm not really competent to comment on it, but one had heard that Dhankar ji had been through other parties also, in the sense that he was from this party to that and then came to BJP, and that he was a lawyer also. He was fighting the case, some very important cases for RSS and BJP, and he enjoyed respect and confidence. So that's why they put him as governor of West Bengal. And he really took up his job very, very seriously, visiting the victims, and several things he did. Which didn't go down well with the chief minister there, but he held his ground. And so he was brought to Delhi and installed in such an important post. Vice President of India is something that's number 2, next only to the President of India. But then, we have seen the developments, and as I said, that let's pray for the dignity and grace of the post, and let not people sort of speculate too much. And if the government has to say something, they will come out with it. Nothing can be held back for too long. But then let it go with dignity. This is what I think.
It's an important point that you're making there, ma'am. Do you believe that, but as you're saying that dignity to be restored, there has to be categorical clarity from the government and from the Vice President himself on what transpired. Till that happens, there will be a cloud hanging over this exit.
Well, the clouds do disperse, and one only hopes that the speculations will come to an end. As I said, too much the shabdon ki maya jal, too much talking about it without knowing really what happened. That also spoils the atmosphere. So I really want to pray and say that, the dignity and the grace of the chair and of the person who occupied it till 2 days ago, and the dignity and grace of the government, of the Prime Minister, who in all confidence installed him in the chair. Let all that be intact. Of course, it is for everyone, it's a matter of great interest. There's nothing else that people are talking about now. That will happen because this is something very, very unusual and out of the blue as it seems. But then again, nothing is a coincidence.
Absolutely,
there are things
Dr. Mansingh, they're making some very critical points, and thank you, Dr. Sonal Mansingh, for your valuable time. Mr. Veerasamy, also talk to us about the circumstances of Jagdeep Dhankar's departure, because this comes in the midst of, the Parliament moving this motion against former Justice, in fact, Justice Yashwant Verma. What is the future then of this debate on executive-legislative balance in India? Jagdeep Dhankar used to keep talking about it. This was something that everybody wanted because there was a lot of cash that was discovered at this judge's house. How does the DMK look at the circumstances of Jagdeep Dhankar's departure?
See, the thing is, the Honorable Vice President, former Vice President, has been very clear about his thoughts on what has happened in the judiciary, be it about the powers of the judiciary or about this Justice Verma case. And in fact, when the opposition brought in for this discussion, and the discussion was taken up where the government was totally taken aback because they had no idea what was hitting them. And then when the leader of the ruling party, Mr. JP Nadda, got up and spoke, he had the audacity and temerity when the opposition members were raising their points. He was saying that nothing you say will go on record. You should know this. See, that is something which is the prerogative of the chair. So a member, he is only a member. See, though he may be the BJP party leader and leader of the house and all those things, he is a member where all ruling has to come from the chair. But here, JP Nadda had the temerity to say that nothing you say will be going on record.
But that's been clarified as well by Mr. Nadda. He has clarified as well, but my question to you, Mr. Naik, no, I'm not defending anyone here, but I'm just saying that, Mr. Naik, do you believe that this exit is going to cloud the entire session, or will the opposition move forward from this and get to the issues that was the focus before this resignation?
No, let me narrate what happened chronologically for everybody to understand.
Opposition is very clear.
This happened in the parliament, and subsequently there was supposed to be a BAC meeting where the vice president was expecting that the leader of the ruling party and the minister for parliamentary affairs, both of them had skipped that meeting. So that was probably, I don't know.
Absolutely, that's a very important point. Both Kiren Rijiju, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, and JP Nadda, who's the leader of the House, had skipped that meeting, and that really, Veera, we were in the Parliament then, and that was what got us thinking as to what really is happening. And there's this whole multiple MPs coming to lodge their signatures there also got us thinking. Mr. Naik, Veera's question here.
Can I just quickly complete one point over here?
Yes, quickly.
In 2014, since 2014, it has become the new norm that the Prime Minister of this country will not attend the House. See, prior to that, all the Prime Ministers had made it a point that they would attend the House because that is their important work where they are answerable.
Okay, the point taken, Mr. Naik, the Prime Minister leaves for UK today. Veera's question here, what happens to the agenda that the opposition had decided upon? Would that continue, or is Dhankar's departure going to overshadow the entire session?
Continuing with what our DMK friend has been narrating, all I feel is that opposition will not be wavering from its single-minded focus on important issues which concern the people, starting with Pahalgam attack and the Operation Sindoor and our success and failure of our foreign policy and things like that, and a host of issues and host of bills which are going to come up. We will not waver from that. This, I feel, is an internal party issue of BJP. The only ideological issue that I would like to comment upon is that the real ideology here is authoritarianism. Authoritarianism is not going to hurt just the people of this country or the opposition party. It is going to hurt the people who are very close to them. That is when you will understand the true nature of what is authoritarian regime is.
Mr. Amitabh Tiwari, two last questions to you, sir. One, who do you see as replacing Jagdeep Dhankar? What do you think the parameters of this personality could be? And also, most importantly, do you think that Jagdeep Dhankar had become politically independent in the last few days, specifically with his private meetings with certain opposition leaders? Because that is being talked about a lot.
No, clearly he had a mind of his own, and he used to make very independent statements on various key issues which are grappling the nation. On the names, it is very, very difficult to say. I mean, what name would come, because in BJP's textbook, name guessing is very difficult. But I would link it to also the ongoing issues which the BJP and RSS are facing with the appointment of the BJP president, correct? So since Jagdeep Dhankar was not from an RSS background, I think this time the vice president will be definitely from an RSS background person.
Absolutely. Thank you all of you for
settle.
Absolutely, Mr. Tiwari, your point taken. Thank you all of you for being part of this
broadcast. This
broadcast.
Is high time that this difference between BJP and RSS is erased.
Okay, so that is topic for another day.
That you're making.
But yes, Jagdeep Dhankar's resignation is going to overshadow the entire session. That looks like the case now, but clearly doesn't seem to be a personal health choice, although that is what he has said. But more importantly, will this completely overshadow the topics at the agenda that the opposition has picked up? Veera, something that we will have to wait and watch out for.
That's right, Vasudha. They haven't had an issue of this nature to deal with in the last decade or so. So this will be something of a test for the ruling establishment, and some important points made by the opposition MPs there. But staying with politics and to a Tharoor reparty to his Kerala Congress colleagues, K. Muralidharan's remark that the diplomat politician isn't one of us. Tharoor today asked, who are they to say he is not one of them, and that the nation comes first Another tidbit in the Tharoor versus Congress saga.
That's right, Veera. It's also clear that this clash reflects deeper tensions within the Congress over Shashi Tharoor's rising profile and perceived ambition in Kerala politics. With the high command of the Congress party silent over this matter, the rift also poses a test for the party's tolerance of dissent ahead of the crucial state elections in Kerala. My question to you, as somebody who has followed South Indian politics for a long time, help us understand the importance of Shashi Tharoor in Kerala politics. Is it exaggerated? But given that he has won multiple times from Thiruvananthapuram, how important, significant is he in the realm of Kerala politics?
Well, everything about Tharoor is quite exaggerated, Vasudha, but I can tell you that he's not popular amongst the MLAs, and that's categorical. In fact, most observers there in Kerala would tell you the MLAs simply don't think much of him. But he does have his appeal amongst the middle class. He has that X factor, but he will not have the support of the rest of the Kerala unit, at least the large parts of the old Congress guard. K. Muralidharan, remember, a strategic hit at Tharoor, making him speak instead of anyone else amongst that old guard, because Muralidharan known for his radical comments at times. So it will be interesting to watch how this plays out. The High Command needs to balance the two. He can't let him go completely before the Kerala elections, because that would be a hit for the party. But let's listen in to what Tharoor said outside Parliament today.
First of all, it seems to me that the people saying this also have to have a basis for saying this. Who are they? What is their party position? I'd like to know. Then we'll see what the answers will be.
No, why they have said so? Your statement in your dedication.
See, don't ask me to explain other people's behavior. You talk to them about their behavior. I can only talk about my own behavior. I've explained my behavior and I'll leave it there.
In Kerala people, we are very much upset for his performance. Especially the fourth time he was elected from Thiruvananthapuram. Lot of party workers sacrificed for his victory. But he is not coming his conscience also now. The last 2 months he was far away from this constituency. So we decided that in the coming local body election, we are not ready to cooperate with him. Otherwise, High Command, if High Command did give any direction, we will obey that. But now our stand is, we are not cooperate with him.
Well, Vasudha, till there is a clarity about the Tharoor versus Congress equation, I think all we can do is to go to ChatGPT and ask how Tharoor would define his own situation. And it throws up some very, very interesting jugglery of words.
Absolutely, Veera. And for me, every time Tharoor debate comes up, I just have to look at what's happening in Karnataka, those fault lines playing out between DK Shivakumar and Siddaramaiah. And it's also similar situations in Telangana. But with Tharoor, it's always fantastic, because there's always some interesting controversy that comes up. With that, it's time for a short break.
Now, of course, you have Dhankar versus BJP as well.
Yes, absolutely. With that, it's time for a short break. We'll see you on the other side.
तू ही तो है जिसकी सच्चाई वाली क्लैरिटी की वजह से मैं आज यहाँ हूँ।
गोल्ड प्लस सिल्वॉक्सी मिरर्स, ऐसी क्लैरिटी कि आपको सिर्फ सच नजर आए, चाहे कितने भी साल बीत जाएं।
फिनेस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find Finer Finesta.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edappadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, that's Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India. bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है। जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़ और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है। बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
A 36-hour non-stop flight by a small pack of B-2s. A lot of other aircraft were also involved, we know that. But let's talk about the B-2 flight itself. They took off from Missouri. 36 hours later, they landed back without once landing. They delivered their bombs 18 hours later over Iran and then came back. How was this possible? Because the Department of Defense says at no point of time on this 36-hour journey was there any reason to believe that they were either detected or reacted to?
Well, they weren't detected, because if they were, then they'd be in some serious trouble. It's one of the most unbelievable missions, one of the most historic long-range strike missions. There were 7 B-2s, which by B-2 standards is a fair number of them. There was deception in the very beginning.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi wishes NCP leader Ajit Pawar on his birthday. Birthday greetings to Shri Ajit Pawar ji. He's making a valuable contribution to strengthening the NDA's good governance agenda in Maharashtra. May he be blessed with a long and healthy life.
Welcome back to the Southern View. Now to the case of illegal betting apps, Vasudha, and some top Southern stars are in trouble for promoting these apps, as we know. From Prakash Raj to Vijay Deverakonda and Rana Daggubati have been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. Remember, nearly 30 noted actors face cases of promoting illegal online betting apps, and they may have to appear before the ED starting tomorrow, Vasudha.
That's right. According to sources, Veera, all these stars promoted such apps on social media. ED's investigation has also revealed that transactions worth thousands of crores have taken place through these apps, and several stars have been given huge amounts from these promotions. At present, summons have been sent to everyone, and ED is preparing for questioning.
It'll be important to watch out how that plays out, Vasudha. In fact, Google and Meta officials too, remember, have been called in by the ED for promoting these apps which entice people to gamble. So multiple questions at stake, ethical, moral, legal as well. Joining us this evening, actor Chetan Ahimsa, and also in a bit, senior advocate N.S. Nappinai. Chetan Ahimsa, the first question is that have actors promoted these apps which has led to the ruin of many people willingly or unwillingly? Should they be held accountable?
There is an argument that actors are responsible for these things directly, indirectly, by using their platform to somehow influence minds, which leads to suicides, which leads to financial mismanagement, gambling addiction. But I look at this in 4 different ways. Number one, you're talking about the whole betting apps. When you talk about regulation, you're talking about a blanket ban, you're talking about the message it sends. Number 2, the role of actors, social media influencers, and how they should be handled, how each should be looked at a case-by-case situation. Number 3, you look at Mr. Revant Reddy's kind of power play where he kind of soft targets and uses his weapons and power against film actors, whether that be headlines or really is he not finding fault with the real problems, or are these the real problems, and for his long-term solution. So in terms of betting apps, I mean, obviously they send a bad example. There's one person who has said that 1,000 people have committed suicide, maybe even Telangana itself. Right. Youth get addicted. But at the same time, the question is, how do you regulate? Are you going to do a ban? To what level are you going to do a ban? Right. In 2017, they've done a ban. Are you going to ban films? Because that's also betting. Are you going to ban horse racing? That's also betting. So it creates a big problem. And in terms of the actor,
so
you have to look
larger questions there, Ms. Napinai. As a parent, I feel very deeply about this issue because I know that it's in the court and, between this battle of game of skill and game of luck, I do think that we do lose a larger picture that betting apps not just lead to financial losses, but also social addiction, which is a huge problem. Absolutely. Is there a problem with awareness or is there a problem with enforcement?
I'd say it's both. Because the first step is that people have to be aware that merely because the celebrity is endorsing something, it does not validate or legitimize a particular app. The second aspect is if enforcement is stronger, then it sets a precedent and it also acts as a deterrent then for the fly-by-night operators. So you cannot have a law which would leave things open-ended and say it is self-regulatory and then not have strong enough enforcement against those who violate those self-regulatory mechanisms. So I would say that even this delineation between game of skill and game of chance, if you look at some of the state laws, because betting comes under state laws, you would see that they are trying to close the gap. The problem is with proportionality. None of the acts have been struck down saying you cannot do it at all. Only thing that the courts have been mandating is do a proportionate or a process which is valid and legitimate and equal to the harm that it causes. So I think that fine median or average is what we are really looking for now.
Right, Vasudha, it's actually an important question that Vasudha raised there, Ms. Napinai. And Chetan, the deal is here that, it doesn't have to be necessarily mandated and doesn't have to be necessarily illegal. As influencers and as stars, there's also a larger social responsibility question that comes up, and that's the moral side of the argument, right? Yes. Now, you know very well that some of these apps have certain dangerous trends. Now, we're dealing with it at multiple layers. Should actors be a little more responsible in what they choose to endorse?
Actors must be more responsible. I mean, they have a big platform. They influence a lot of people. You're talking about actors that also do gutka pan masala ads. You're talking about different liquor ads. You're talking about various things. At the same time, in this present situation, you have to look at it on a case-by-case situation. Some people have done it after the 2017 ban, 2020, continue to do it to some level. Some people before 2016 and they didn't continue. They might have apologized. Each is a case-by-case situation. But when it comes to Revanth Reddy, I feel he uses his power and wields it more against the film industry, like Allu Arjun and what DK Shivakumar did, because it gets headlines.
I think there is no connection.
And that seems to be
the Allu
something
Arjun case is extremely different from this. I mean, while you're saying that they're being made a soft target, Vasudha, there are multiple other dimensions that need to be probed.
Absolutely. Chetan, my question to you is, shouldn't influencers also draw that red line for themselves? The celebrities that Veera talked about, from Prakash Raj to Vijay Deverakonda, these are not people who are in need of money to make financial gains out of exploitation of people. And there are families which have committed suicide. Shouldn't there be a red line, boundaries that these celebrities have to draw for themselves,
including cricketers as well?
No doubt. I personally have not endorsed any of these brands or any brands in general. But at the same time, some of these, it's left up to their own sense of morality. And I also think it sends a wrong message that they're doing these kind of ads. But at the same time, I feel sometimes it can get into a witch hunt. Because these things make headlines. Right. You're talking about real estate mafias that are not targeted. You're talking about mining mafias that are not targeted. Those are also big problems that Revanth Reddy should also look into. But I'm not denying.
Quick final word, Napinai.
Talking about a moral story, I would focus on the legal aspect. Celebrities have to be careful because now they are mandated to do so under law and they are going to be held liable if something goes wrong, right? So therefore, one, check what you're endorsing, see what the safety nets are if there is a if it is likely to be a fly-by-night operator. And remember, if it does turn out to be one, then you are going to be also held liable. So this kind of, it's not just about appealing to their moral side. I would strongly say that the legal argument for celebrities to exercise much more caution is a strong one.
Absolutely. Thank you, Napinay, and thank you, Chetana himself, for joining us. Clearly, there's also a lot of accountability, Veera, that the platforms such as Meta and Google have, because I may not be using those betting apps, but I do see these ads promoting those apps on social media, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why they've been summoned as well. I think this is an overall responsibility across the board. Everyone has some responsibility to take as far as these are concerned. Now to small shopkeepers, Vasudha, and traders in the country's tech capital, Bengaluru. They are threatening to move away from digital payments and cashless transactions. In fact, small traders in the city, including tea stalls and coconut vendors, have received hefty GST notices on the basis of UPI payments they've received. And now Traders Association, which refused UPI payments over the past few days, have threatened to go on strike.
That's right. From milk vendors to bakery owners, they plan to wear black badges while suspending sales over the next 2 days and then hold a protest, a bandh, on the 25th of July. Now, those protesting include cab and auto drivers who fear similar GST scrutiny on them. In fact, the issue has also been triggered after GST notices were sent to over 14,000 traders after their UPI transactions came under the tax net. Now, the issue has also led to a Congress-BJP face-off, and that is with the state government blaming it on the centre and the BJP blaming it on the state. Let's listen in to traders and the political voices.
पहले तो तुम्हें इजी कर दिया, अभी पूरा ट्रांजैक्शन होने के बाद में 30 लाख हो गया, 40 लाख हो गया, बोले तो 40 लाख पूरा जिसको लिया है उसको दे दिया हमें। अब हम कहाँ से देगा पैसा के? 40 लाख हम बचा लिया क्या? तो नया रूल्स बनाया तो फायदा क्या है? हमें 30 रुपया दूध का, 2 रुपया हमारा कमाई, 36 रुपये में हमें बेचता है। तुम्हें 36 रुपये में टैक्स लगाया तो क्या फायदा? हमें कमाता 2 रुपया, तुम्हें 36 रुपये का टैक्स लगाया तो क्या फायदा? आप ये बताओ।
पूरा फोन पे गूगल पे कर रहा करते, पूरा GST डाल रहा करते हैं, उसके ना हमें नहीं डाल रहे। यहाँ पे कहीं को होता बड़ी बड़ी दुकान को डालने का क्या होता है, छोटी दुकान रोड में पेपर करने वाले डालने का मैं क्या करने यहाँ पे।
ನಮ್ಮ ಇಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಯಿಗೆ ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಬಾಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಇದನ್ನ ಬಡವ್ರಿಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಕೊಡೋದನ್ನ ಯುದ್ಧ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಪಾಪ ತರಕಾರಿ ಮಾಡೋರು, ಎಳ್ನೀರು ಮಾರೋರು, ರಸ್ತೆ ಬದಿ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮಾಡೋರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅವರೊಂದು ಇದನ್ನ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು ಲಕ್ಷಾಂತರ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾರೇ ಮೋದಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ
This is an issue that may not be restricted to Karnataka, and it definitely raises some tough questions over fine-tuning the GST mechanism. In fact, we are joined by Salman Soz of the Congress Party, we have GS Prashant of the BJP, and we have tax expert Shashank Shekhar Gupta. Thank you all of you for joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Soz, to you first. The government talks about formalizing the informal economy, it talks about increasing the taxpayer base, which is why it is saying that we are looking at enforcement, increasing compliance. How do you look at this issue?
Well, the government has been taking a lot of credit for improving tax collection through GST, etc. But we have to tax policy is just one instrument, but we have to look at the whole economy. It's happening to the entire economy. I think I'm sorry to say that people, I've not seen many countries celebrating taxation, by the way, as Prime Minister Modi seems to do routinely, and the BJP as well, that, GST collections have gone up by a lot. And I can, by the way, tell you, I have data which will show that service tax collection under the UPA was double that under the NDA's GST. But the insidious thing about the GST is that most of the collection, almost 66%, is paid for by the bottom half of the country. It is extremely regressive. Then you have all these 5 tax slabs that GST has, that is extremely complicated. And then you have the kinds of things that we are seeing in Karnataka. Now, BJP may complain and say that Congress is doing this in Karnataka. No, Congress is not doing anything in Karnataka. The GST law was enacted by the BJP, and the Prime Minister had a midnight session in Parliament. Everybody knows it. What Karnataka is doing is basically following the law. And by the way, this is the same thing that the BJP is doing in Maharashtra and in Gujarat. And one final point. For all of the celebrations about taxation in India, since the rollout of the GST, almost 18 lakh businesses have closed down, including, by the way, 4 lakh businesses in Gujarat. So I would welcome the BJP's kind of views on this, whether this is the kind of India they want.
GS Prashant, respond to that. Salman Soz is raising some serious questions, while here you have blamed the Congress government for the woes of the traders.
Veera, Salman first realized that under the UPA era, India was in the fragile 5 economies of the world. And in 24, we became the fifth largest, and now we are the 4th largest. And by 2030, we are on the cusp of becoming 3rd largest economy, only trailing US and China. Therefore, if anybody wants to pat their back saying UPA too was doing great, I think this is not the time, because all of us are aware which mess India was under when BJP took over in 2014 and the type of corruption that had happened. And if you are pointing out to GST, it subsumed many taxes. It ensured that the checkposts which were there, which were creating a hurdle for easy movement of goods, has reduced. The turnaround time for the trucks has reduced, which means more efficiency for that. So the benefits of GST cannot be spelled out in these 2 or 3 minutes, be that as it may. Now, coming to the pointed question of issuance of notices, I make it very clear that under the GST law, the GST authorities do not have the power to issue notices merely based on third-party information like Paytm, Google, or PhonePe. They are supposed to conduct preliminary inquiry, find out from the dealer or the assessee as to whether...
So what's the point? Who are you blaming for the notices
what
then?
What products is he dealing in, and whether it is taxable or exempt, and only then give him time to respond with documents, only then compute the tax and then go on. This procedure has not been followed.
So who are you blaming for the notices received by the traders?
Yes, and Veera, and this has been issued by the state
No,
GST
who are you
department.
blaming? Make it clear.
Yes, I'm telling you, the state GST has issued the notices, and state GST governs 90% of the dealers in the state of Karnataka. This is the handiwork of the state GST. Therefore, the entire process of issuance of notice without verification is bad in law.
Yeah, respond
this
to that.
Is violative. Let me complete. This is violative of the principles laid down by the Supreme Court, stating that you cannot use third-party data to merely fasten liability. You are supposed to conduct a preliminary inquiry, come to a conclusion based on documents, evidences.
Mr. Soz, GS Prashant is saying that it's the state government doing some kind of
Which has
vasuli.
been done.
Yeah.
This has not been done.
The
state government has to withdraw these notices.
Okay,
BJP
Prashant, you have to let him speak.
Let Salman respond. You made a sharp point. Let Salman respond. Go ahead, Salman.
So, just by speaking loudly on national television does not make you right. What state governments like Karnataka or anywhere else, when you implement the law is the national GST law. And by the way, he may not be aware that state government officials, not just in Karnataka, across the country, GST officials are basically under the gun from the central government to collect taxes. And by the way,
Mr. Salman, so
please do not interrupt. This is bad manners. Maybe you're not. This is not.
Okay, Mr. Prashant, let him respond. He'll come back to you.
Please do not interrupt me. I heard you calmly. I heard you calmly.
Hang on, Salman.
With respect, you should afford the same opportunity to
one second,
others.
Prashant. Let Salman respond. Let me put another pointed question to Salman, and Salman will respond. And after that, Prashant, you'll get your turn. We have enough time, Salman. But the problem is being faced in Karnataka. Other states have not reported about this problem as well. That's the other dimension to it. Please respond.
So, Karnataka, what is in the Karnataka case? What has happened? Of course, they've issued intimations. These are not, by the way, demands in any way. These are notices that have gone to understand what, is the collection greater than what it was supposed to be? If it was higher, then are they part of the tax net? Are they part of the formal economy? By the way, isn't that what Prime Minister Modi has been talking about? Digital India. We want more taxation. We want a more formal economy. And when the Karnataka government basically follows the national law, this is Prime Minister Modi's law.
The question.
We are following it, and now
it still doesn't answer the question categorically. Who is responsible for the notices?
Let me just say. No, the central government is responsible. The GST Council, headed by the Minister of Finance, is responsible because they set the law, they set the regulations. State governments have to follow them. That's the way the law is constructed. It isn't. GST is not Karnataka's law. GST is not Gujarat's law. GST is the national law, and we have to follow it. If, by the way, the BJP is not happy with this law, they want to scrap it, they should bring it to Parliament. We'll support them. If they want to simplify this Gabbar Singh tax, GST, as our leader has called it, we are happy to kind of cut down these 5 slabs into one.
Okay.
And make it much
I'm just going to take a breather from the politicians for a minute. I'm sorry, Salman, for cutting you short, but I'm going to take a breather from politicians for a moment.
Let me just respond to this.
No, I'll tell you what. The problem is that today, if Vasudha or Salman wants to fly into Bangalore, you better be prepared with cash, because cashless is not being accepted in many places, even if you want to drink coconut water. That's really the... Let me go to the tax expert on the panel. Sir, who do you blame for this? Is it the state government's implementation, or is it the larger central law? This is a larger debate between going cashless versus coming into the tax net, which could become a big burden for very small traders.
So here's my perspective on it, Raghav. If we look at to identify who's the real culprit, I think there is no culprit here. I think it is just data accumulation, data assimilation, which has been so friendly now with the implementation of the whole UPI thing. If we look at the registration threshold, which is there in GST, I believe prior to GST, the registration thresholds were even lower. They have only been increased or enhanced with implementation of GST. Now, about the people that we are talking about, they are the bottom of the pyramid. This is where the whole problem lies. The intention of these people is not to do any tax evasion, but they have very limited understanding of the law, very limited means, very limited manpower, almost a single person running the entire show. And at the same time, the law also intends to felicitate them. Law has a special provision cast for them wherein they can just pay tax at the rate of 1%. They can simply file a quarterly return and they will be through with the GST compliance. Now, the problem that is arising over here is, and why the UPI angle is important. Earlier, because they were at the bottom of the pyramid, they were largely not under the lens, and usually also because they are not into bookkeeping, they would also not know that what is the turnover looking like.
Right.
Now, since we are in the digital era, we have everything in the fine print, everything is there in the records. Now, the gap is, intention of the government is there, intention at the end of the bottom of the pyramid is there, but there needs to be some more facilitation to put this into effect.
That's a very important point. Prashant GS, if we talk about the future of digital India, the fact that a huge section of small vendors, small businessmen moving out of UPI and asking for cash, that's quite a scary proposition, isn't it? And what does it mean for the country that has been talking about UPI transformation?
See, definitely it is not about somebody wanting to evade taxes. But again, I repeat, the procedure that they have followed is completely and patently illegal. They ought to have decoded with specifics as to whether the products being sold are exempt or taxable. The Congress spokesperson, unlike his leader, will not understand any of these things because they report to a leader who wakes up at night. So therefore, be that as it may, we're disregarding the Congress and its regressive policies over the years. Now, coming to the GST aspect of it, one thing that the Karnataka government is trying to do is, by giving specific targets to state officials to collect revenue, they have disregarded principles of natural justice, the law of the land, and the mandate of the Supreme Court in how we are supposed to use third-party data, especially under GST laws. The tax expert also can throw light on how Section 63 of GST talks about which data to be used and how you can really collect information. When you have not done something in accordance with law, the state government or the state government GST officials, let them withdraw these notices, create awareness among the small traders, and then educate them, and then issue notices and collect taxes in accordance with law, like how Article 265 of the Constitution mandates that no tax shall be levied or collected without authority of law. Congress and its spokespersons have never believed in the Constitution, so they will not care about it, because for them, the Gandhi family is supreme, and whatever Gandhi
let's keep it to the traders. Let's keep it to the traders before we go into family politics. GS Prashant, Salman Soos, go ahead, respond to that point.
Yes. So I just wanted to respond directly to one point that the BJP spokesperson made, and he called the Congress Party's policies regressive. And I will let the viewers decide if our policies are regressive or if their policies are regressive. In India's tax revenue, when we look at tax revenue collections, personal income taxes are now much higher than corporation tax collections. GST, as I said earlier, 2/3 of it comes from the bottom half of the country. If that is progressive, then by all means, BJP is the most progressive party in the world. But as far as I can tell, as a student of economics, that their party is the most regressive party that I've come across, because they celebrate taxation on the poorest. They celebrate destructive. Again, he's interrupting me because he knows that I have a stronger. And now he's interrupting me again. That means bad
You will not be allowed to peddle lies. You have to speak facts and speak facts with authority.
I wish there was GST on interruptions and GST on speaking over each other. Unfortunately, there is no GST on that. But my final question to the tax expert, and a very, very brief answer, sir. Do you see an end to the problem faced by the traders here? Because it's a very, very genuine one when you talk of a small cab driver or a small tea vendor. They are genuinely distraught at some of them getting notices. Do you see an end to the problem, or do you believe this chaos is going to continue? Very brief answer.
Not changed, and they're kept as it is. This is a bomb waiting to explode. It will only get replicated across states and pan-India. If it has to be plugged, either the government will have to revise the threshold, put in guidelines to not reach out to such small people. Otherwise, it's just an issue which is waiting to explode and replicate pan-India.
Just an issue that's waiting to explode. I'm sorry, Salman, we're completely out of time.
Just 5 seconds.
Go ahead.
I would need you to rebut.
I just wanted to inform the public, especially those in Karnataka, that the Chief Minister has already started a program called No GST to create awareness about GST, its thresholds, what compliance is required. And by the way, the notices that have gone to vegetable, for example, they'll be taken back. So I think a lot of things are happening.
Unfortunately, we're completely out of time on this, Salman. We'll have to end the conversation right here, Vasudha. But this is an issue that one needs to keep close focus on.
Absolutely, Veera. I thought the GST, the UPI versus cash debate was resolved, but suddenly has been reignited with whatever that is happening in Karnataka. With that, it's a wrap on the show. Veera and I will see you same time tomorrow.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Video from the famous Eco Point in Maharashtra's Mathiran. Dog stuck in nearly 200-foot deep gorge for 2 days was successfully rescued. Local citizens heard the dog cries and informed the administration and social organizations.
Fenesta Windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस. आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए.
फाइनर फिनेस्टा.
गोल्ड क्लास ऑप्टिमिस्टिक रिफ्लेक्टिव ग्लास लगाओ, धूप की गर्मी को दूर भगाओ और बिजली का बिल भी बचाओ.
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts August the 23rd. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell them to us as well.
It's a huge problem, Shiv. Let's face it, in as much as we love the Rafale aircraft and the Indian Air Force is completely vouching for it, perhaps they'd like more than 100 more. The Indian Navy has just gotten into an order for 26 Rafale M aircraft. There is a generation gap between the Rafale and the stealth. There is a good reason why a stealth platform is called a 5th generation aircraft and a Rafale is a 4th or 4.5 generation aircraft, and that is low observability. So in as much as
Good evening and a very warm welcome to India Matters on Tuesday night. The Indian Army has had a terrific year. The Indian Army was a huge part of Operation Sindoor, and the Indian Army, remember, has always said we will fight with what we have. But today on India Matters, we're starting with some very good news that comes as a big relief for the Indian Army. A game-changing weapon has just been delivered. 15 months late, but finally here, the Indian Army today received its first AH-64E Apache helicopters. That's them you see in these pictures. These are frontline battlefield predators, no reason called the world's most feared and formidable attack helicopters. And I cannot help thinking, if these had arrived just a few weeks earlier, it's almost certain they would have been on combat patrol duty near the Pakistan border in the tense days after the Pahalgam terror attack. Today, by the way, is 3 months since the attack. But they're here now, and they're home-based in Jodhpur in Rajasthan. And unlike the sky grey Indian Air Force Apaches, which arrived a few years earlier, these Indian Army Apaches wear a sharp desert camouflage that tells you exactly where they will be flying in from now. Of course, you've already guessed it since I said Jodhpur, the Thar frontier. That hot line between India and Pakistan where dust, distance and deception often define the balance of power. The balance is shifted thanks to these helicopters, viewer. Picture this, another terror attack, God forbid, in Kashmir. Pakistan's response, as always, is to push its armored vehicles, its tanks and other weapons close to the international border in Rajasthan. Their instinctive move, expecting a major Indian response of some kind. A familiar old game of defense by offense. But this time something would be very, very different. Because circling over the horizon, the next time something like this happens, if it does, masked by sand dunes and evening haze, would be a pair, just think about it, of Indian Army Apache helicopters, their sensors looking at everything, their radars locking on silently. One of them lets off a single Hellfire missile. It comes out of nowhere and smashes into a Pakistani tank. A message, come any closer, and the entire column of Pakistani vehicles will be decimated. And all this while the helicopter remains completely out of sight and out of range, probably behind a sand dune or a hill. Now, these helicopters won't need to cross the border to change the battle calculus. Their incredible longbow radar system allows them to detect and destroy enemy vehicles from miles away. They can remain hidden behind terrain, rising for just a few seconds to deliver a precision kill, and then disappearing again, day or night. That's the amazing thing. Pakistani forces will know that they are being watched. Every moment could be their last, except that they won't see it coming. The Apaches come at a huge cost. They are not cheap, but they are also not entirely imported. That's the good news. The main fuselage of these helicopters, can you believe it, viewer? I bet you didn't know this, are made right here in India by Indian hands, in fact, just outside Hyderabad. And there's a strong push to manufacture even more parts of this formidable helicopter right here on Indian soil in the future. The Apache's arrival marks a turning point. From now on, with every act of terror treated as an act of war, the Indian Army isn't just watching the desert front, it's waiting to hunt across it. Let me show you what weapons are there currently on the Apache that the Indian Army is now getting. It's an incredible arsenal of weapons for virtually every kind of mission. For instance, the AGM-114 is a Hellfire missile, precision-guided munition capable of long-range attacks on ground targets. Then you've got the Hydra 70mm rockets that are used for saturation attacks. Hundreds of these can be fired at targets. One of the most powerful weapons on the Apache is the M230 chain gun. It's on the fuselage of the main helicopter body, as you can see, capable of absolutely bringing hell onto its targets. And then you've got Stinger air-to-air missiles, because remember, these are helicopters that can be quite vulnerable in the air, and they've got air-to-air missiles to take out other helicopters or possibly even aircraft. Here's a first comment that's come in today following the delivery from the former chief of Army Aviation, the former Director General of Army Aviation. Take a look.
See, there is no difference between the 22 Apaches that Indian Air Force holds in comparison to these 6 which the Indian Army is going to hold. And as far as the red lines are concerned, I think it only adds to the armory of our armed forces. And these are very, very potent anti-tank helicopters. So they definitely add to the arsenal. And in times of war, I'm sure they would be able to prove what I'm just saying.
So let me tell you a little bit more about the Apache specifically delivered to the Indian Army today. 3 have been delivered. As you can see, they came bundled inside that giant aircraft, quite amazingly delivered in this manner. They're pretty big. These helicopters are not small by any stretch of imagination. So 3 have been delivered. 3 more will be arriving by the end of this year or next year. There are orders, we are told, for at least 12 more helicopters. So 3 times the current order is possible that the Army will place with Boeing. The Apache fuselage, like I said to you, is made right here in India by a Tata-Boeing joint venture in Telangana. The Army plans to integrate Indian weapons on the Apache helicopter. It's very keen to have some Indian weapons as well. And like I told you right at the beginning of this show, there are plans, since this aircraft is going to be based in Jodhpur, it is only presumable that it will be on duty, combat patrol duty near the Pakistan border. These Indian attack helicopters join a fleet of other attack helicopters that are currently in service. So let me just show you a few of them. The Mi-35 is a Soviet-era heavy attack helicopter that's currently in service with the Indian Air Force. That's the Tipnis Grey, as they call it, of aircraft with the Indian Air Force. The other attack helicopter available in large numbers with both the Army and the Air Force is the Hindustan Aeronautics Rudra, which is a version of the recognizable Dhruv helicopter. The newest attack helicopter is the Prachand light combat helicopter, which is there in small numbers with the Army and the Air Force. An order for 156 has recently been placed, so this is going to be a mainstay. And then you now have the AH-64E Apache, built by Boeing. It's an American helicopter, already in service. In fact, this is an Indian Air Force Apache, and now you've seen the beautiful desert camo brown helicopters that have just joined the Indian Army. Let's get a sense from some experts who've flown combat helicopters during their careers to give us a sense of how big and how important a day today is. Air Commodore B.S. Sivach is Director General Aviation Safety India. Air Vice Marshal Anil Tiwari is a former helicopter pilot. Welcome to the both of you. Air Vice Marshal Tiwari, I'd like to come to you first. The Apaches have been in Indian Air Force service for a few years now. Our pilots have gotten some good quality experience with them. I remember they arrived just around the time the standoff with China was taking place. So they were, they did get a chance to be deployed on the combat frontiers of Ladakh, etc. How big a day is this for the Indian Army? They've been waiting quite a while for them.
Good evening to you and to your viewers and to all my country fellows. It's a very big day for the Army. Like you told, the helicopters, Apache helicopters have already come into Air Force. They are saying better late than never.
Yeah.
We have been waiting for these for a very long time. I can tell you the first trials of these Apache helicopters were done, high altitude trials were done in 2009-10. And the first ones which came to Air Force was 2019, end of 2019. And I can tell you with confidence, the Air Force is totally operational on this aspect. All the 22 aircraft, the pilots, they already 2 or 3 turnarounds have taken place. 2, 3 COs have turned around. So the Air Force is fully operational and fully geared up to use these helicopters in any which way the country wants us or the Air Force wants us to. Whether it is high altitude, the desert, the jungle, these aircrafts are formidable. I can tell you with all the confidence, they are just too good.
They are incredible helicopters. They look amazing. They have perhaps the most experience in terms of combat in the world, barring maybe the Mi-35, which has seen a lot of combat or equal amount of combat. Air Commodore Sivach, from a warfighter's perspective, how does a helicopter like the Apache change the game for the Indian Army? These helicopters are going to be based in Jodhpur, so we can guess that the Pakistan border is going to be its playground.
These gunships have been in use. We already had Mi-24, Mi-35.
Yeah.
And of course, now we have, with the Air Force, we already had this particular Apache helicopter. It is one of the most formidable weapon platform and very sophisticated, very modern. It has got very, great arsenal of the weapon systems and very, very accurate target acquisition and target firing systems. So it is the best helicopter in the world. And Indian Air Force has been operating this. And now we have got it for the Indian Army also. At present, only 3 have come, 3 more will come, and then, but it's taking actually a very long time. It is only delayed by a couple of months. And I hope the rest of the helicopters are delivered at the earliest, at least by the end of this year. So I definitely need these helicopters. We have got 2 very major enemies surrounding us, and we have to confront them. And for that, particularly Pakistan is not going to change. Pakistan will continue to be hostile and continue to create problems for us. So we have to have a very formidable weapon system with the Army, with the Air Force. And these helicopters will be integral to Army.
Yeah.
Now, it should not be misunderstood that the Air Force Apache are not integral. Now it is all this joint manship. So whether it's with the Army or Air Force or Navy, all are fighting for the country. And now with unified command and structure, integrated planning, joint exercises, joint operations, all that. So they have much better understanding among three services. And there is actually, earlier there might have been some rivalry, but now rivalry is no longer there because of this integration, jointmanship. And these helicopters have proved their mettle even at high altitudes.
Absolutely.
But they are more suitable in the plains and particularly in the Rajasthan sector, Rajasthan border, and of course Punjab border. They can be of great help in annihilating the enemy armor. They are basically our
very true.
busters.
In fact, these Apaches that have come in for the Indian Army, forgive me for having a preference for the color scheme on these helicopters. I prefer while I love the Air Force livery, I think the Army livery looks absolutely terrific. It's very befitting, the desert terrain. Obviously, this paint scheme is not someone's personal choice. It's very much a part of the operational profile and where these helicopters will be deployed. So the grey on the tipness grey of the Air Force helicopters, suits the higher altitudes and being able to fly at a slightly higher altitude perhaps. These ones are going to be operating in the sandy desert terrains. Air Vice Marshal Tiwari, give us a sense of what a helicopter like this in the air does to, ground forces on the other side. How does it change their thinking? What kind of threat is it to tanks and armored vehicles on the other side? Because the Apache is a helicopter that most warfighters know is extremely feared. If an Apache is in the air, then you're vulnerable. If you're in a tank, if you're in an armored vehicle, if you're in a vehicular column, you are very vulnerable even if you can't see this helicopter.
The main thing is that when you're fighting an enemy, who shoots first?
Yeah.
Who is able to detect first? And who is able to have a direct hit first? And in all these aspects, this helicopter stands out. Just to give an example, the longbow radar, it can detect so many targets, more than 100 plus targets, and at a distance of 16 kilometers.
Incredible.
Now, at 16 kilometers, no tank is going to even think that where you are. You can't see also. You can't hear also. And these firing can be done from 8 kilometers. So the Hellfire missile, 8 kilometers. The guns, the 30 mm guns which you are talking about, it can fire from 4 kilometers, 4.2 kilometers. Now, the tanks at 4.2 kilometers, for them, it is too far off.
Yeah.
So these helicopters are safe, these helicopters are going to be accurate, and these helicopters are going to be lethal, whether it is a desert, whether it's a jungle terrain, or whether it's high altitude. Just for your information, though it's not a very secretive thing, we have been firing at ranges of altitude of 15,000 feet also, which we have not been doing earlier. So you can imagine, even if a target like in Kargil, at 15,000 feet, we would have utilized this helicopter like anything. And the ranges, it 4.5, 5 hours you can fly.
Yeah.
These helicopters have got hot refueling. They need not switch off. So the turnaround time changes. So in a period of 24 hours, where earlier a helicopter might have done 3 or 4 sorties, this will do much more sorties. The turnaround is faster.
Yeah.
So you are able to send your machine, you are able to send your armament into the battlefield at a shorter notice and much more number of times. That is the advantage. That is the lethality that it has. And that is what the enemy should be afraid of. So I'm very proud Indian, though I didn't get a chance. I would have loved to fly these helicopters. But though they did their trials in high altitude during my time when I was commanding Leh, and I have got a chance to sit down in them.
Yeah.
It's very lethal. I'm really proud my country has got these helicopters, and now the army is going to operate them. And they will be a lethal force in each and every aspect. And the safety factor is also there.
Yes.
See, the helicopter it's in the battlefield. The other aspect which comes up first is that you should be able to fire the enemy first before he realizes it. And second thing, if you are fired upon, you should be able to save yourself.
Correct.
Now it has it has got a missile approach warning system. It has got a CMDS. It has got a RWR. So everything it has got for its safety. And one particular thing which I must tell you, like it can carry 1,200 rounds of this 30 mm guns.
Yeah.
1,200 rounds. And just to give a comparison to you, BMP carries just 500.
Yeah.
So you see the difference? However, because they want a longer range, sometimes they put the fuel tank, etc. So they generally carry 300 plus. But in actuality, they remove the fuel tank, they can carry that many more rounds. So when you compare with the BM, just comparison is not for any other thing, just to make people understand that what is the lethality of this aircraft, how dangerous this aircraft is.
Absolutely.
And it has proved its worth in so many wars. And I'm sure, God forbid, anybody tries anything against us, it will again prove its worth. I'm very sure about my pilots in the Indian Air Force. And very soon, the Indian Army also, the pilots will be ready to take on any task.
And we wish the Jodhpur squadron happy hunting, happy landings, safe operations always. Thank you very much to both of you, gentlemen, for joining me on this momentous day for the Indian Army. Always a good day when new assets are joining the armed forces. And I hope we've been able to draw a very clear picture of what this amazing helicopter is going to do for the Indian Army. And from a very, very formidable helicopter to an aircraft that definitely belongs in a museum. Thankfully, the good news here too is the Indian Air Force actually agrees. Well, it is the Indian Air Force fighter that everyone has heard of, and I'm sure you've already guessed the name, the MiG-21. And the reason you're hearing about them tonight, is that 62 years after they first entered service with the Indian Air Force, the last of the Indian Air Force's Soviet-era MiG-21 fighters finally have a firm retirement date. That's right. Come September, the last of the Indian Air Force's MiG-21s will stand down for good. The final two squadrons, around 36 aircraft in all, will be grounded forever. These are, of course, not the same jets that flew into Indian skies way back in 1963. They've been upgraded and modernized multiple times. Hundreds upon hundreds were even built here by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. But make no mistake, this is the final curtain for a fighter that has been the longest serving and most controversial workhorse in Indian military aviation. Now, the MiG-21 is a polarizing aircraft, and you know what I mean in the public eye. It is often associated with crashes and loss. In the Indian Air Force, it is seen as a tough, agile machine that gave more than it ever really got credit for. Pilots who fly it and flew it swear by its speed, its handling, and its raw power. Yet it's impossible to talk about the MiG-21 without talking about its roller coaster history in the Indian imagination. MiG-21s arrived in India a couple of years before the 1965 war, but the combat missions in that war were overwhelmingly handled by other Indian Air Force jets like the Hunters and the Nats. The MiG-21 first captured big media headlines in the 1971 war when it bombed Pakistani air bases in the west and the east, helping script that amazing Indian victory in the 1971 war. It became a headline fixture again during the Kargil War in 1999, when MiG-21s, were part of the combat missions in the high Himalayas. But its darker moments were never too far away, and that's probably how you know this aircraft best, unfortunately. In 2001, the tragic crash of a MiG-21 flown by Flight Lieutenant Abhijit Gadgil and the powerful public campaign launched by his mother Kavita Gadgil drew national attention to the aging fighter's safety record. This was 24 years ago. Then came a pop culture revival in 2006. Rang De Basanti brought the MiG-21 into the mainstream, tying its dangers into a wider narrative of political apathy and youth rebellion. The jet became a symbol once again, this time of sacrifice, patriotism and a call for change. And then in 2019, the MiG-21 returned to the headlines when Wing Commander Abhinandan Vartaman shot down a Pakistani F-16 before being shot down himself and taken prisoner, only to be returned a day later. The MiG-29 had delivered an astonishing kill against a superior jet and lit a fire under every conversation on air power capability and legacy. So yes, the MiG-21's journey has swung wildly, viewer. From glory to grief, from front lines to films, it has lived many, many lives, and now it's finally time for it to go. Whatever your opinion of this jet, nobody will argue with the fact that it is a good thing there's finally an end date to the MiG-21's long, turbulent, but unforgettable service. Okay, now let me tell you a little bit about the MiG-21's journey in the Indian Air Force. It started, can you imagine, 62 years ago in 1963. That's when it entered in a trial way with the Indian Air Force. It has become the Indian Air Force's backbone fighter, built and operated in the largest numbers from the 90s, 70s until the mid-2000s. It performed amazingly during the 1971 India-Pakistan war. HAL, like I said, got the licenses from the Soviet Union and built approximately 657 MiG-21s of different types right here in India. Let's get a sense of what today really means as the news breaks that the MiG-21s finally have a retirement date. Let's hear from two MiG-21 veterans what today means, how they feel, are there mixed feelings, and how a public that has seen the MiG-21 from very, very different and polarizing prisms should navigate this big headline. Air Marshal Dilip Patnaik is a well-known Indian Air Force veteran. He's been an air officer commanding in chief. Air Marshal Sanjeev Kapoor, you've seen him often here on NDTV. He's a former Director General for Inspection and Flight Safety, also a veteran pilot. Both have flown the MiG-21 extensively. Air Marshal Patnaik, I'd like to come to you first. Your sentiment, sir, of the MiG-21 finally retiring 62 years after it first flew in Indian colors.
Okay, to start with, when you use the words like finally it is going, doesn't augur well as far as a MiG lover is concerned.
Yeah.
My time people, about 70% of us have flown the MiG-21, and I can say that each and everyone swears by its capabilities.
Yeah.
And it had its own roles, it had its own capabilities, and those capabilities were utilized the way it was expected. As far as its phasing out is concerned, I would put it this way that it's not finally it is going not because of anything, but because of the fact that in the current circumstances, the threat perception which is there, both from the east, the west as well as the north, these don't stand much of a chance as far as their prevailing fighters are concerned. So keeping that in mind, I know 62 years are over, but I'll be very frank and honest. I have flown 1,265 hours, close to about 2,000 sorties.
Yeah.
And I have also flown the Mirage 2000, which is about 40 years ahead of the MiG-21.
Yeah.
It's a question of whether it is good for the country. I would say yes, now that it is being phased out. Why was it delayed? Probably because the LCA, which was supposed to come as its replacement, kept getting delayed more and more.
Correct.
And we did not have a choice but to continue.
Yeah.
And as far as its ability to fly and its availability is concerned, I would put it this way, that each time an aircraft is offered by our technicians, by our engineers to the pilot, and when he signs it, it is fully serviceable.
Yes.
It's not that the one which was taken 60 years back. Every aircraft has its technical life, it has got its airframe life. All this is catered for.
Yes.
So I won't go to the extent of saying, thank God it is going. I would just say that it is going because the current threat perception it will not be doing good. So it needs to be replaced. It should have been replaced about a few years back, but we did not have a choice, so it is there.
That is a very valuable perspective, by only someone who has actually sat in a MiG-21 and, whose decision-making has impinged on using the MiG-21. Marshal Kapoor, you've strapped into MiG-21s as well as a young pilot.
No, I have not. No, I have not flown MiG-21.
Okay, you've not flown the MiG-21, but what is your perspective on the MiG-21s, finally getting a retirement date? And when I say finally, I only mean that, it has been spoken about for so long. Nobody has any doubts about the Indian Air Force's decision-making whatsoever. But how important is a day like this today?
See, while growing up, like Air Marshal Patnaik just said, it was the backbone of Indian Air Force.
Yeah.
There were a large number of squadrons, and if I recall reading somewhere, 28 units of Indian Air Force have operated this wonderful platform. It has gone upgrades like you covered in your preliminary report. And some unique things this aircraft has done. 1971 war, when the governor's house was shot, it was shot from weapon from MiG-21, and that led to the ceasefire. Also, if you recall, one aircraft, Atlantic, of Pakistani Air Force was shot. That also was shot by a MiG-21. And as latest as now, in the month of May, MiG-21s were utilized on high alert during Op Sindoor. So that, is the stretch of this aeroplane right from 1963. And the biggest upgrade in my appreciation came in 2001, when these aeroplanes were, the last version, the Bison, had, components both of Israeli, Russian and Indian. And this aircraft was brought up nearly to the 4th generation, and that stood the test of time. And of course, the curtain down ceremony is planned for September this month. And I'm sure all people who have been associated with this wonderful machine. And also picking up from where Marshal Patnaik left, hats off to the maintenance people, to having maintained the engineers and the technicians, to have maintained this aeroplane over the years. And this is the longest serving fighter of Indian Air Force till now.
Marshal Patnaik, take us into the cockpit of a MiG-21, all those many hours that you've spent flying this beautiful aircraft. What was it like flying the MiG-21, and what did you like best about flying it, sir? Share something about it with us.
Way back in 1985 was the first time when I sat in a MiG-21 cockpit. It was a Type 66. It's a trainer, two-seater, with my instructor sitting in the rear. I had changed over from a Kiran, which takeoff speed is about 105 knots, coming to about 180, 190 kilometers. And this aircraft, if you can come close and see, it's hardly got any wings. And the takeoff speed is 330 to 340. It was a Type 77 for which we were training. And I still remember that when there is something known as an afterburner. You engage the afterburner, release it. Next thing you hear from the instructor is raise the undercarriage up. That means you are so far behind. The aircraft has already gone ahead and got airborne, and the instructor is yelling, put the undercarriage up. That is the kind of, you have to be ahead of the aircraft. It takes time. It takes time to be, and that is what fighter flying is all about. You have to be ahead at all times, every time, and you have to be right each and every time. Because there's only a single engine. And only thing, there used to be a joke some time back that MiG-21 cannot get aids because it had no aids. When I say aids, it means did not have a good navigation system. We did not have an inertial nav system. Radar at times worked, at times did not work. The accuracy of the weapons were not so great. And most important was to navigate from place A to place B. I remember when we used to fly from Bhuj all the way and come and carry out an attack over Pokhran. Those used to be competitive events. So it is like we used to say flying through Nimbu Pani, because hardly any, very poor visibility, and we used to be looking for one prominent E-shaped building. Our CO was always waiting for that E-shaped building so that you could carry out an attack. So without aid, but fact of the matter is, it's a very nice aircraft when you can have control over it. there have been losses. I agree. There have been losses. I have lost 2 of my course mates, Chow Wong Ping Mong Long and Sujit Jog, both on the MiG-21s. But fact of the matter is, whenever an aircraft has been asked to perform, like Air Marshal Kapoor mentioned, Atlantic was shot down by a MiG-21 using a R-60 missile. It's an upgraded version. Then Abhinandan shot down an F-16 using the MiG-21 Bison. So as we have progressed, it should have, if you ask me, should it have been done away with some time back? The answer is positively yes. But did we have that option? The answer is no, because it has to be replaced with something. It has to, it's all a numbers figure. So I can say to end with is that it was a nice platform, and it is the only platform which could get airborne in 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes time from the time a scramble is given. No other aircraft can reach that except for the Ajits and the Nats earlier. But this aircraft just could take off and reach high speed and intercept. Many interceptions have happened using the MiG-21. While I was there in Bhuj, I was there in many other places. It is a fantastic platform.
A beloved of its pilots, polarizing in the public eye, but certainly an aircraft that nobody will ever forget. So thank you for that very valuable perspective. There is no perspective like that of a pilot when we're talking about aircraft, I always say. And I promise all of our viewers that NDTV will be visiting the base where those final 2 squadrons are, and we will get you special coverage as we bid farewell to the MiG-21. Thank you to both the Air Marshals for being with me tonight on India Matters. Very quick break. On the other side, we're switching focus from the military to one of India's biggest scams that the Enforcement Directorate is looking at, the big betting app scam, and it involves some big names under the scanner. We'll tell you about that next.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Finessa windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find Finer Finesta.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
Finessa windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find Finer Finesta.
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, the Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
Finessa windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find Finer Finesta.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India.
bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colours.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़ और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ NDTV इंडिया पर।
The big betting app scam has become one of the biggest investigations by the Enforcement Directorate, with heat directed at Tollywood and tech companies. We've got some breaking news now coming in a day before superstar actor Rana Daggubati is summoned to appear before the Enforcement Directorate. Now we're hearing that Google and Meta, some of the biggest tech companies in the world, have been summoned on the 28th of July. Did these tech giants deliberately promote betting apps? Remember, a public interest litigation says more than 1,000 suicides in Telangana have been linked to these betting apps. Mukesh Singh Sengar, our crime editor, is live with me. Mukesh, क्या कुछ एक्शन लिया जा सकता है ये टेक कंपनीज के खिलाफ? अभी तो हमको पता चल गया है कि राणा डग्गुबती और कुछ टॉलीवुड स्टार्स को समन किया गया है। इन टेक कंपनीज के खिलाफ भी एक्शन लिया जा सकता है?
देखिए, बिल्कुल जो बैटिंग एप्स हैं उनके जरिए जो चीटिंग हो रही है उसको सरकार और एजेंसियां काफी गंभीरता से ले रही हैं। उसकी वजह यह है कि इन बैटिंग एप्स के चलते करोड़ों की संख्या में जो यूथ हैं अलग अलग स्टेट में, वो बड़े पैमाने पर इस पर पैसा लगा रहे हैं। स्कूलों की जो फीस होती है वो भी बैटिंग ऐप में लगा देते हैं और जो पैसे घर से पैसे चोरी करते हैं वो भी लगाते हैं। जो उनके पास पैसा होता है वो भी इन एप्स में लगाते हैं। तो एक तरह की ये गैम्बलिंग है और ये देखने में आ रहा है कि बड़े पैमाने पर जो यूथ हैं वो इसका शिकार हो रहे हैं, क्योंकि इन बैटिंग एप्स के जो मास्टरमाइंड हैं वो विदेश में बैठे हुए हैं और ये जो यूथ हैं उनको ये लालच देते हैं कि वो पैसा लगाएं और बहुत जल्दी ही उनका पैसा जो है डबल हो जाएगा या एक दिन में 5,000 रुपए मिल जाएंगे, इस तरह का लालच देते हैं। और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि जो ये बैटिंग एप्स हैं, कई सारे बैटिंग एप्स हैं, इनको प्रमोट करने वाले जो बड़े सेलिब्रिटीज हैं, स्टार्स हैं, वो उनको प्रमोट करते हैं और ऐसे में जो यूथ है वो उनको रोल मॉडल मानते हैं और कई यूथ जो है वो आकर सुसाइड भी कर लेते हैं। तो अब इन पर जो सरकार है वो कार्रवाई कर रही है, ईडी कार्रवाई कर रही है, इनको बुलाया गया है पूछताछ के लिए और मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग के तहत ये जांच हो रही है। इसमें कई टॉलीवुड के एक्टर एक्ट्रेस हैं, इसके अलावा कुछ बॉलीवुड के लोग हैं और कुछ क्रिकेटर्स हैं जो इन ऐप्स को प्रमोट कर रहे हैं। तो इनके खिलाफ जो ईडी है वो एक्शन लेने वाली है।
So the action could go beyond Tollywood. Mukesh, dhanyawad. Thank you very much for speaking to us and giving us that big breaking story. Remember, the Enforcement Directorate has summoned some of the biggest stars from Tollywood. Prakash Raj, Lakshmi Manchu, Vivek Devarakonda and Rana Daggubati will be appearing before the ED tomorrow, either in person or through his lawyers. Take a look at this report.
You've probably seen flashy ads promoting betting apps, urging you to play and win, featuring your favorite actors and influencers. But now many of those same stars are under the Enforcement Directorate's lens. The ED is cracking down hard on illegal betting and gambling platforms accused of cheating lakhs of Indians of their hard-earned money and laundering massive sums. The estimated tax evasion, a staggering 27,000 crore rupees annually. In a major twist, 29 actors, influencers and creators have been summoned for questioning in the money laundering probe linked to these shady platforms. According to sources, actor Rana Daggubati has been asked to appear at the Hyderabad ED office on July 23rd. Veteran actor Prakash Raj has been summoned on July 30th. Vijay Deverakonda on August 6th. And Lakshmi Manchu on August 13th. Other names include Nidhi Agarwal, Pranitha Subhash, Srimukhi and Shamla, all of whom reportedly endorsed betting apps suspected of generating illicit funds. The ED suspects these celebrities promoted platforms allegedly generating illegal funds, misleading lakhs of young Indians in the process. The Tollywood industry has been rocked by these revelations, with several actors now facing questions over allegedly misleading the public, especially the youth, by promoting such apps. Earlier, Bollywood actor Sahil Khan was questioned by Mumbai police linked to the Mahadev betting app case. Ranbir Kapoor, Shraddha Kapoor, Tamanna Bhatia were summoned. Kapil Sharma, Hina Khan, Huma Qureshi were called in for questioning after they performed at a wedding in Dubai. Meanwhile, big tech giants like Meta, Google officials have also been issued fresh summons. Sources say that the executives have been given a one-week extension and asked to depose on July 28th. The tech giants have been summoned to know how such illegal platforms can place ads on their portals. Google has responded saying it uses advanced AI tools to ensure ad compliance with local laws and protect users from threats. The ED is investigating more than a dozen cases linked to illegal gambling and betting platforms across the country, including the Mahadev online book app, whose main promoters hail from Chhattisgarh. Bureau Report, NDTV.
So you've heard of these betting apps, you've now seen our report on all these big stars being summoned, but how big is this entire betting app market? Well, what if I told you $100 billion or more could be the overall size of the betting app market? Just think about that number for a moment, viewer. $100 billion at the very least. It has an annual growth of 30% year on year. That tells you just how much the market is actually growing. 22 crore users in India. And I want you to think about the figure of 1,023 suicides in Telangana in the last 1 year. Regular users, 11 crore per year in India use betting apps. Web traffic, 1.6 billion plus in the last 3 months. Estimated tax evasion owing to the use of betting apps of this kind that are under the scanner now, 27,000 crore rupees per year. These are initial estimates by the Enforcement Directorate that we are using here on NDTV, and it gives you a very small kind of indicative sense of what we are actually talking about when we talk about betting apps. And a journalist who has been reporting relentlessly on this investigation, specifically what's been happening with the Enforcement Directorate probe into what's happening in Telangana and Andhra is Uma Sudhir, my senior colleague who joins me now. Uma, the actors who've been summoned in the next few days by the Enforcement Directorate are all big stars from the Telugu film industry. What kind of shockwaves have gone through the industry? Then we'll talk about the probe itself.
big stars being named by both the Telangana Police as well as the Enforcement Directorate in specific context of endorsing these kind of illegal betting apps, I think is sending out the very right message to all the celebrities, the spectrum of influencers in the social media as well, that this is not something that they should be associating themselves with. The figures that you mentioned suggest that 1 in every 10 Indians is actually on the illegal betting app and losing money on it. And I've been speaking to the CID chief here, who in fact is heading this kind of a special investigation team which was constituted by the Telangana government, and I'm told that they are working very closely with the Enforcement Directorate as well, because they want to look at not just the financial transactions as far as the sponsorship deals or the money promotional deals are concerned, but also of course about the ad revenue that is coming out of it. And the chief was in fact telling me that most of these people who are losing money on it actually think they are losing money because they didn't play the game well, and not because this is actually geared to make you lose money, make you lose, not in hundreds but thousands of crores perhaps is what is the estimated loss. It has been going on for a very long time. Citizens had actually flagged it earlier this year, and very, very pathetic story. One young student who was in Italy and was looking at some cricketing apps, betting apps, and his friend lost 60 lakh rupees, and he lost the friend as well, could not come to terms with having lost that kind of money and died by suicide. After which this young person decided to do some investigation himself, lodged FIRs, and therefore we have multiple FIRs in Miapur, in Cyberabad, in Panjagutta, in Suryapet, in Telangana, and also in Visakhapatnam. After which, in fact, the Enforcement Directorate decided to use the material coming out of this for this Enforcement Directorate crackdown on all these online betting apps.
Uma, thanks very much for that comprehensive update. This doesn't appear to be a flash in the pan probe. The Enforcement Directorate is going to sink its teeth into this and get deeper. There may be more stars who may be summoned going forward, not just in Tollywood, but elsewhere as well. We'll keep a very close track on that. Rana Daggubati has been summoned tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Thanks very much, Uma, for joining me on that big news break here on NDTV. And finally, after the much debated Prada Kolhapuri saga, which once again you first heard about here on NDTV, India's top fashion designer JJ Valaya speaks to NDTV's Mayank Chaudhary on inspiration, plagiarism, and why we're still hung up on what he says is Gora validation. Here's that big exclusive on the closing of the most decorated fashion week, all set to take place in the national capital.
Favorite city? Oh, I love Delhi. Most stylish politician? I think Mr. Scindia does a good job. Thank you for speaking to NDTV. Always a pleasure. So my first question to you, sir, is you are no stranger to opulent fashion presentations, and with India Couture Week right around the corner, what can we expect? How will this presentation be different from your previous ones? I'm trying to understand why people say that, how will it be different? Because, I remember Hussain, MF Hussain. Yes. And he spent a lifetime painting horses. Yeah. And they just kept getting better and wilder and more fun. So I think that's about it. I think it's evolution. Every good luxury brand evolves. Yeah. And within that evolution lie many surprises. Yeah. And so this time around also we'll be throwing in some interesting surprises and just focusing on creating and pushing ourselves to go to an even higher level. So, sir, your work is heavily rich in impeccable artisanship and craft, I must say. And recently, with the whole Prada versus Kolhapuri artisan debate, how do you see this? Where do you stand? And also this whole conversation about cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation. What's your take on it? See, my personal opinion on anything other than plagiarism, which is absolutely not okay. But other than that, I think if somebody can get inspired by something which has its own sort of creative language and create something and create a sort of statement which highlights that thing even more,
rather than sort of let it kind of disappear in time, then you're probably doing a service of sorts.
Right.
So, of course, with all acknowledgements and everything, that's mandatory. Quality, we'll always go for something that he knows will stand the test of time. And the person who's buying fakes is not your market. It's very simple.
So there's no threat as such?
I don't think so. Honestly, if at all, there may be a 5 to 10%, cheaters walking around.
Have you come across any such incident?
Oh yeah, all the time. It happens all the time and at various
levels. And do
levels.
they get spooked out? Have you ever confronted them? Or just a pat on the back?
We have a very famous pattern of ours called the shifting leaf chevron. Yes. It's a black and white pattern. And on a monthly basis, we send out close to 10 to 15 legal notices to people all over, including some really well-known brands who are just ripping it off. I went to a garment store the other day and he had thorns of it lying. And I'm like, do you know that you're copying this? I said to you, aap mujhe prove kar do. Well, it's a patent pattern of ours. I said, here's the proof. He said, I will remove all of them. And he did, he honored his word.
Years back when I was working as, I think I was a guest person, handling guests at the FDCI show, and it was your show. And I was very excited to, I was in fashion school, I was very excited to see it. And I remember as I was helping the guests find their seat, there was this, I think somebody in the front or the second row, they went, oh, JJ, he's synonymous with what Delhi fashion is. And that sort of stayed with me. And I feel like a pinch me moment that I'm asking you, why do you think your customers or admirers say that? Is it that because I personally feel, and I've observed your work, that there's something extremely inclusive about your work? It's almost like different cultures come and blend into your work. There's a room for everyone here. Very much like our city. Why do you think they say Delhi designer JJ Valaya?
I have no idea. Actually, it's an interesting question, but I suppose they say it because that's where we're located. I mean, they would always say Bombay designer Manish Malhotra, Calcutta designer Sabyasachi. So we're the Delhi designers. To be the last word in fashion in India. Delhi designers were just ruling the roost. Bombay was very slow, Calcutta didn't exist. I'm talking about that kind of a time. Cut to now, both Delhi and Bombay have a very strong lot of designers. And Calcutta, of course, has its own. Bangalore has their own. Hyderabad has their own. But my point is that I don't know why we think cities. We should be Indian designers.
Sir, my last question to you is, you're a household name and a lot of aspiring young designers look up to you, look up to the work. What message do you have for them?
Oh, several. I think
I love that. Maybe we should have a master class with JJ Valaya.
I know, 33, and if I had my NIF days, I'm talking about 35 years. After 35 years, I can tell you so many things, but if I were to really pinpoint 2 or 3, number one, never rest on your laurels. You may think you're the best, but there are 20 other people snapping at your heels. So you cannot think that I'm untouchable. Everybody can be dislodged, right?
Correct.
Number 2, believe in yourself, because a lot of times what happens is people start looking around and seeing what others are doing, and then they try to kind of keep up in the rat race. Nobody wins in a rat race. So it's a pointless, race to run. And also you've got to be very alive to the fact that what you do is yours because you love doing it. So keep focusing on it, make it the best. For the simple reason that if you think every person in the world is going to love your clothes, you're mistaken. You will have your segment who will swear by you. You will have a segment which will hate you. Get used to that. Focus on the ones who love you. Give them experiences they can never forget. And that's it.
Favorite city?
Oh, I love Delhi. It is absolutely wonderful. I also like Italy as a country. But city, I guess, the heart beats in India.
Most stylish politician?
I think Mr. Scindia does a good job. Because he's a royal, so he has an innate sense of style. I'd say in terms of dressing, he does a good job.
One historical figure you'd like to dress?
I mean, I wish I'd met Marilyn Monroe. That would have been fun.
Fabulous. Favorite craft?
Anything that is done by hand painstakingly. We've spent our life doing that.
So if let's say if that is, okay, one piece you'd say you just like to describe which is close to you. I won't say favorite or special. Any piece
but
that
then
you'd like.
actually good we stopped here.
Yeah.
This particular garment that you see.
The menswear.
Menswear.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah.
This piece as is 14 years old.
Oh wow. Designed 14 years ago?
This particular piece is 14 years old.
Wow.
It is a legacy piece of ours. 14 years later also, everybody wants it. I'm just trying to give you a perspective.
Yeah. And if we just go closer, I believe those are like
everything is hand
embroidered. Dream destination for a fashion show?
Oh my God. Now you're really getting me.
Well, Delhi is done, and you said Italy you love.
Yeah, it has to be something absolutely mind-blowing, and it has to be where something man-made meets nature, that perfect sort of mix, where man has created something so awesome, but right in the lap of nature.
One name in fashion that you look up to, that inspires you?
Well, you know, my biggest regret is that I did not meet Karl Lagerfeld. And I had the opportunity to. I couldn't. I mean, that's something I regret. I would have loved to meet Coco Chanel because that would have been insanely brilliant.
Yeah. What do you think you'd ask her? If given an opportunity, you're sitting across Coco Chanel in Paris or Italy or in Delhi, who knows? What would you ask her?
How she would always wear black and white and yet lead such a colorful life.
Well, that's wonderful.
So that's something which is very interesting.
That's wonderful. Talking about another late and great, one word for your colleague and friend Rohit Bal.
Oh, that was my heartbeat. He was somebody I adored, loved, respected. I was telling somebody the other day that man singularly believed in everything he did. His colors, his silhouettes, his style. There was never a reason for him to do a Western gown or to do anything which he should do because it's trending. He lived his entire life in 3 colors, black, ivory and burgundy. And he lived his entire life literally in long jackets and massive anarkalis and maybe a few saris, maybe a couple of lehengas and impeccable menswear.
Yes.
So I mean...
And quite provocative he was
with
his
yes,
work.
yes.
Now JJ Valaya in one word.
Exploring. All the time. ... That's it, exploring.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was fun. I liked
it. Was fun.
Yeah, I liked it. It was enjoyable.
You're watching The Last Word and I'm Maria Shakil. Tonight, Delhi's power corridors are shaken by what many are calling DHEXIT or Dexit, which is essentially about the exit of Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar. At 9:30 p.m. yesterday, that is last night, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar resigned, sending shockwaves through the political establishment. Why did this happen? What does this mean? And what comes next? We have the inside track and the political story behind the story. Remember, in December of 2024, that is just 6 months ago, the opposition had moved an impeachment motion against the Vice President, a first of its kind in parliamentary history. The motion was, of course, rejected on technical grounds by the Deputy Chairman. So how did that distrust, which was visible between Mr. Dhankar and the opposition, change to distrust between Mr. Dhankar and the Treasury benches? Remember, the opposition had gone on to say that Mr. Dhankar, who holds a bipartisan chair, who held a bipartisan chair as the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, was actually a spokesperson or a mouthpiece of the government. Now, let me tell you what happened. Sources tell us that the immediate trigger was a motion to impeach a judge. Yes, Justice Yashwant Verma, the infamous Delhi High Court judge from whose house alleged cash stash was recovered. Here's what happened. Jagdeep Dhankar announced that opposition's motion to remove
Justice Verma, and he did so in the Rajya Sabha. The problem is, how did he go ahead without informing the government or the treasury benches? This move set off alarm bells in the NDA camp. Government sources say this was more than just a communication lapse. They argue that if Dhankar had told them, then NDA MPs themselves would have signed this motion. But Jagdeep Dhankar did not. And here's the most important part of this story. The government had its own plans. They wanted the motion to originate in the Lok Sabha, not in the Rajya Sabha. There's a difference. Lok Sabha is the house of the people or the house of the common. Rajya Sabha is the house of elders. For the government, Dhankar's announcement was seen as an act of defiance. Someone would say a red line was crossed. What followed was pure Delhi-style damage control. Top ministers rushing to meet the Prime Minister. Urgent meetings with allies were called. MPs were being briefed. The government scrambled to prepare its own motion against the judge, that is Justice Yashwant Verma. It collected signatures and then crucially spoke to Jagdeep Dhankar. That's when Mr. Dhankar read the writing on the wall and he resigned. So what happens now? The Constitution, remember, has no provision for an acting vice president. That means the Rajya Sabha will now be run by Deputy Chairperson Harivansh Narayan Singh. Harivansh Narayan Singh is also from the JDU, was the JDU nominee to this chair. He also had a meeting with President Draupadi Murmu earlier today. But here's the big question. When will India have a new vice president? There's no fixed deadline. Rules, in fact, say that vacancy should be filled as soon as possible, but politics certainly will decide that timeline. And how is the vice president elected? Here's a quick explainer. The Election Commission issues a notification. The Electoral College consists of MPs from both the houses, which is in all 788 in all. They vote through a proportional representation system, and the voting is by secret ballot, which means it's not just maths, it's strategy, which is very clear. And let's go beyond the headlines. What does this mean overall? Remember, this is not just a resignation, it's a rupture, what we are seeing at the top of India's constitutional order. The vice president is not a ceremonial post. He is the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, the upper house, and a key player in the legislative business or the legislative strategy. Jagdeep Dhankar's exit creates uncertainty for the government at a time when big ticket bills are lined up for the monsoon session and also for the winter session. Second, this reveals the tension between the highest constitutional officers and the government of the day. Dhankar was seen as a strong voice, sometimes critical, often assertive, though his open comments on judicial overreach went against the government strategy. That streak may have cost him the government's full trust. The judge impeachment episode seems to have been the last straw. Let's talk politics now. The election for a new vice president is not just about filling a vacancy, it's about control of the Rajya Sabha. With 2024 behind us, the NDA wants smooth legislative pathway for its reforms. The opposition will see this as an opportunity to ally its own MPs and test unity. Expect some intense backroom negotiations and don't rule out surprise candidates. And finally, history. We have seen some friction before. Remember Vice President Krishnakant during the Vajpayee era, or even Hamid Ansari's assertive tenure. But a vice president resigning midterm, this is rare, unprecedented. It tells us also about something deeper about the nature of power. So tonight the big question is, did Jagdeep Dhankar overplay his hand, and who will be the next vice president? Will he be a government's choice or a consensus candidate? What is clear is the battle for the upper house has just begun. Joining me on the show tonight, Supriya Srinate is the national spokesperson of the Congress. We have KC Tyagi, former member of the Rajya Sabha and also senior JDU leader. Arvind Sawant is Lok Sabha MP of the Shiv Sena. He's joining us. K. Nehru is Lok Sabha MP of the DMK. Professor Vineet Singh is LJP spokesperson. Professor Sajjan Kumar is political analyst. KC Tyagi, as someone who has been very close to Mr. Dhankar, did he at any stage indicate about his tension, this tension which is now evident between him and the government?
नहीं मारिया जी, मैं पिछले 35 सालों से हमारे मित्रवत रिश्ते रहे हैं। नवी लोकसभा में मैं और धनखड़ जी दोनों साथ साथ जनता दल के टिकट पर आए थे और जनता दल के अंदर की जो व्यूह रचना थी उसमें भी हम दोनों देवीलाल जी के नॉमिनी थे। उस नाते भी हमारा करीबीपन था और ये रिश्ते हमारे लंबे समय तक चलते रहे। हालांकि मेरी तो निरंतरता जनता दल परिवार के साथ बनी रही, लेकिन वो बीच में कांग्रेस पार्टी के भी टिकट पर विधानसभा के सदस्य रहे और उनकी जो कोर्ट में जो उनकी उपस्थिति थी, जो हाजिरी थी, उससे अरुण जेटली जी प्रभावित हुए और उनको बीजेपी में ले आए। और मुझे बहुत अच्छा भी लगा और आश्चर्य भी हुआ जब वो गवर्नर बने। उन्होंने कई बार मुझको वहाँ पर आमंत्रित किया, कल कोलकाता में भी, लेकिन उपराष्ट्रपति के चुनाव में मैं सक्रिय था, उनके शपथ ग्रहण समारोह में भी था। अब जो वर्तमान में जो प्रकरण है उसको लेकर के मैं दुखी भी हूँ, अचंभित भी हूँ और व्यथित भी हूँ। एक किसान पॉलिटिक्स से मैंने अपनी राजनीति की शुरुआत की है और उनके कई संस्मरण मुझको याद आते हैं जब किसान परिवार का सदस्य होने के नाते उन्होंने एमएसपी को लेकर के भी, किसान आंदोलन को लेकर के भी और किसानों की एगोनी को लेकर के भी समय समय पर अपनी राय जाहिर की। और एक स्टेज पर तो वो कृषि मंत्री के साथ भी उन्होंने कहा कि मैं कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पद पे हूँ और आपसे कहना चाहता हूँ कि ये किसानों की समस्याओं का हल क्यों नहीं हो रहा है। लेकिन मुझे एक चीज़ का बड़ा आश्चर्य है, और ये आपने कहा कि ये पहली बार इस्तीफ़ा हुआ है इस तरह के पद का, तो इस पद पर रहने वाले किसी उपराष्ट्रपति पर महाअभियोग का भी कैंपेन पहली बार ही चला था। पिछले साल का आपको याद होगा 10 दिसंबर को धनखड़ जी के खिलाफ हमारे कांग्रेस पार्टी के मित्रों ने प्लस कुछ और साथियों ने महाअभियोग दिया था कि ये गवर्नमेंट के लिए बहुत प्रोएक्टिव है। और राज्यसभा में जो लोग कवर करते हैं पत्रकार मित्र वो जानते हैं कि सरकार के मंत्रियों से भी ज़्यादा कई अवसरों पर वो सरकार की हिमायत करते थे। ये भी पहली बार हुआ कि उनके खिलाफ जो है आया है विश्वास प्रस्ताव और किन्हीं टेक्निकल कारणों से वो पास नहीं हो सका। अगर हो जाता तो ये भी एक इतिहास की घटना होती कि किस तरह से एक उपराष्ट्रपति को अपदस्थ किया गया। मैंने पहले ही आपसे कहा, मैं अचंभित भी हूँ और मैं व्यथित भी हूँ, दुखी भी हूँ उनके इस्तीफे पर। लेकिन जो 2 दिन से मैं देख और सुन रहा हूँ वो जरूर दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। उनको लेकर के 1000 तरह की चर्चाएं मार्केट में हैं। इस वजह से इस्तीफा हुआ, उसने ये कह दिया। और हमारे कांग्रेस पार्टी के जो मित्र हैं सबसे ज़्यादा दुखी वही हैं जो पिछले साल दिसंबर में उनका इस्तीफा मांग रहे थे। तो राजनीति अब चर्चाओं, अफवाहों, षड्यंत्रों, कैरेक्टर असैसिनेशन इस पे आ गई है। अब से 30 साल पहले घटना हुई होती, वीपी सिंह जी मेरे नेता थे, उन्होंने राजनीति से रिटायरमेंट लिया, कोई चर्चा अफवाह नहीं थी। जयप्रकाश नारायण मेरे नेता थे, उन्होंने राजनीति से त्याग पत्र दिया, इस्तीफा लिया।
सवाल इसलिए उठ रहा है कि क्यों रिटायर किया, बिकॉज उन्होंने कहा है चिट्ठी में अपने जो उन्होंने लिखा था कि उनकी हेल्थ कंडीशन के वजह से वो रिटायर कर रहे हैं और कल वो उन्होंने पूरा हाउस कंडक्ट किया था। तो इसीलिए सवाल उठ रहा है कि क्या हुआ।
नहीं, मैं उठने के खिलाफ नहीं हूँ, सवाल उठाने वालों से भी मुझे कोई शिकायत नहीं है। लेकिन मेरा कहना ये है कि अब से 35-40 साल पहले अगर इस तरह से इस्तीफा हुआ होता तो इस तरह की आशंकाएं व्यक्त नहीं की जाती जैसी आज हो रही हैं। तो राजनीति का जो हो रहा है जिस तरह का, मैं उसको लेके चिंता हूँ। पहले ऐसी सहिष्णुता नहीं थी, कैरेक्टर असैसिनेशन नहीं थे, र्यूमर मॉन्गरिंग नहीं थी जो जितनी और जिस समय इतनी आज हो गई है। और मैं किसी एक पार्टी या एक व्यक्ति को इसलिए दोष नहीं देता, इस तरह का हो गया उसके प्रेजेंट स्टेट और अफेयर पर भी मैं दुखी हूँ।
ओके, सुप्रिया श्रीनेत, व्हाट चेंज्ड from December of 2024? to now that all Congress leaders seem to be talking about the great, characters or the manner in which he would conduct the House. What changed?
I would actually beg to differ. I do believe that in his tenure, he brought a lot of defame to the office that he held. I don't subscribe to the view that he was great and he was doing everything great. I think he was extremely partisan. I think the language that he used for the opposition leaders time and again and used public platforms to attack and make public political speeches, I don't think that was becoming of his office. But Maria, that is not the point here. The point is that in independent India, a serving vice president in the middle of his term, he was elected in 22, so roughly at half his term, has quit. Please understand, this is not just anybody quitting the position. Vice president is the second highest constitutional office right after the president of this country. And what one sees is a rather unceremonious, unprecedented, and an exit that has taken everybody by surprise. He was not just conducting the House yesterday. He had meetings planned today. He was supposed to visit Jaipur tomorrow. So everything was in place for him. What happened that he suddenly had to quit is the question that we are raising. And I'll tell you why we are raising that question. There is no love loss or anything for the man, so to say. There is concern for the seat that he occupied. Because we have seen in the past, demonetization happened. You had RBI Governor Urjit Patel resign. An issue was raised in the Election Commission. You had Ashok Lavasa resign in his midterm. Urjit Patel midterm. Now, Vice President Dhankar midterm. Is this a midterm government is what everybody is asking. And I'm sorry to say, the reaction that one has seen from the Treasury benches, if you actually go back and if you are willing to and can show the tweet of the Prime Minister, Mr. Dhankar bent backwards sometimes in Rajya Sabha to accommodate the Treasury benches. And then to see the message that has come in from the Prime Minister is very cryptic, if not cold. Where I disagree with Tyagi ji is right to say that it may have not caused such a political furore 30 years back. But 30 years back, you did not have multiple people in government and opposition on direct social media where you could hear them. You knew exactly what they were saying. Their words made a difference. The Prime Minister's tweet is what the Prime Minister is saying, and it's very cryptic. It's very cold, and which is why one wants to understand that, everything has moved away. And this is the last thing I want to say. Everything seems to have moved away from the realm of transparency and democracy to something that is shrouded in secrecy. And I personally feel it is not good for the country. It is not good for governance. There needs to be a certain amount of transparency involved. And the constitutional crisis that it has unfolded. Nobody can just elevate and become the vice president. There is a certain election process that follows. And which is why the question is, what went wrong? And I want to say this, a lot of people have said he has cited health reasons. Absolutely. Anybody is entitled to cite health reasons, prioritize his health. Are you telling me that people in position of power in India have not prioritized their health? I mean, are you telling me that the Vice President of India could not have got the best medical health or medical advice while remaining in this chair and could have discharged his duties?
So
we've had examples of Vajpayee ji, we've had examples of Dr. Saab, so many people.
Professor,
which is why I don't buy everything that is being said on the record.
Yes, the concerns that are being raised of that he held a very important role. He was the vice president, and because of that, the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha, he resigns on the day one of the monsoon session. This is a crucial session, and then he cites health reasons and says that that's the reason why he cannot continue in office. So, of course, it's shrouded in mystery.
Maria ji, good evening and good evening to everyone on the panel. I'm glad that Supriya ji came out clean that there is no love lost for Jagdeep Dhankar ji because their erstwhile action said the same thing. When TMC MP was mimicking and Rahul Gandhi was making video grinning from year to year, that showed enough respect for the erstwhile vice president. But why there is so much of fuss? It's such an ordinary thing. Somebody has put down his paper citing the health reason and government has accepted it. So we should respect that decision. Now, I must tell you what the opposition is doing, what they are at best. They're trying to find out some masala out of ordinary thing. Because they're completely issueless.
This isn't ordinary. This isn't ordinary. This is anything but ordinary.
Maria ji,
This
if
is
you let me finish up,
unprecedented.
I will take 30 seconds to finish it up and then you can ask me the question, okay? This is not the first time a VP has resigned. There has been cases twice, VV Giri resigned.
Yes,
though
they
it
went
was
on
for
to
different
become the
reasons.
president.
They
Yes.
became presidents.
Yes.
There's a big difference.
Yes.
They did not resign and demit office.
I said that was a different reason, but this was not the first case I'm saying.
No,
Now, let
there
me
have
finish
been
up.
5 such instances. In fact, not 2, 5 such instances where vice presidents have resigned and gone on to become the president. This is the first time a vice president resigns mid-term. He has completed 3 years in office, 2 more years to go. And the reason why he has resigned is health reason is what he sorted, which he has stated, but he appears to be extremely healthy.
Look, I tell you what, Maria ji, on this panel, in fact, no one knows for sure what has happened actually. We all are groping in the dark. So don't try to be Sherlock Holmes because we'll end up as a goofy Karamchand. What I'm trying to simply say, if he has put down the paper citing some genuine reason, let's respect that. The government has accepted it, so there is no like on if and but. What I'm trying to say, why opposition suddenly is coming out this thing? That they have got a heart full of love for this gentleman. My point
Because
is, if you want to justify...
there is a constitutional crisis. Do you understand the import of the constitutional crisis, sir?
There is no constitutional crisis. You tell me, is there any hindrance in the working, in the day-to-day working of
There is an office that lies vacant.
No.
You don't see a constitutional crisis? There's an office that lies vacant with no reasons known, sir.
Did I interrupt when you were talking? So why can't you be...
I didn't make inane arguments. I made valid arguments. You could not have interrupted.
At least show some courtesy, na? Let me finish up. You are not the anchor, Maria ji anchor, so he has got all the right to stop.
Boliye.
So Maria ji, what I'm trying to say, if there is, I don't see any crisis in the working of
You don't
Parliament.
see any crisis, but
No.
there are a lot of people who are seeing crisis. K.N. Nehru, again, the point that has been made, what changed in the last 6 months? From bringing an impeachment motion to now where all of you seem to be praising him.
So let's just make it clear. I'm just going to join Supriya Madam in saying that we have been constant in our language, in our tone and tenor. What are we constant about? We have been very clear that the Constitution is the last word. It's not single person or law or anything else. It's the Constitution. Now, we have nothing against this individual, Honorable Vice President who has just resigned. We have got nothing against him. But we are just simply saying the law of the land is supreme. Now, what does the law of the land say? That the second most constitutional position, you cannot just simply wish away saying that there's no crisis. You cannot have an acting prime minister. You cannot have an acting chief justice. And it doesn't augur well for such a good democracy to have an acting vice president. So all that the opposition and the India Alliance is saying is just shed light on what had happened. And let's hope something like this never happens. There is respect for that office. Now, let's get into the reasons. Now, health issue seems suspect. He has, of course, had certain issues, and I do not want to go personally into health issues because it's not the right thing to do. But since he has occupied a constitutional position and he's been answerable to the public, we don't accept, or basically it's not being accepting. The health reason is just suspect. Second, the timing. The timing is also very, I think, crucial here. Now, the ruling party, the treasury benches, has always said the opposition seems to be raising untenable issues when the prime minister is out of the country. And you're supposed to be supporting the government and the treasury to show support to the prime minister who's away from the country. Now, prime minister on the eve of his visit, especially with so many bills pending, how can a vice president, the number 2 constitutional position, just resign? I don't think that opposition trying here is to undermine anything. I think we are going to be very supportive of this constitutional position and expecting reasons. I think expecting reason is just a fair ask in democracy.
Okay.
I think it's not about criticism. It is not about any issue or anything that's burning out. But what? Why? I mean, we just want to know because it's a second constitutional position.
Yes. What? Why is something that should be answered, K.C. Tyagi. You're an alliance partner.
मारिया जी, उनका इस्तीफा जिन परिस्थितियों में हुआ है उसको मैंने आश्चर्यजनक भी बताया और मैं उसको लेकर व्यक्तिगत तौर पे दुखी हूँ। लेकिन जितनी चर्चाओं और अफवाहों का बाज़ार गर्म है, मैं उससे डिसएग्री करता हूँ। संसद के अंदर जो राज्यसभा में मेरे साथी रहे होंगे वो जानते होंगे, जितना गवर्नमेंट को, गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसीज़ को, गवर्नमेंट पर अटैक को जितनी मजबूती के साथ धनखड़ साहब ने डिफेंड किया था, उसको लेकर के कांग्रेस प्लस के जो हमारे मित्र थे वो उनसे नाराज भी थे और दुखी भी थे, जो आज उनकी हिमायत में बोलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। लिहाजा उन्होंने खुद ये नहीं कहा है कि वो किन कारणों से इस्तीफ़ा दे रहे हैं, उन्होंने और कोई वजह नहीं बताई है। ये चीज़ें बाद में आएंगी। हम सारे स्पेकुलेशंस पे बातचीत कर रहे हैं। अब दिक्कत क्या होगी है कि वो उपराष्ट्रपति तो उनको हमने बनाया, और हमारे जो विरोधी साथी हैं वो आजकल उनके बड़े हमदर्द बन गए हैं, जो लोग उनके इस्तीफे की डिमांड करते रहे और कोई दिन नहीं जाता था। और मैं ये भी कहना चाहता हूँ, मैंने कुरियन साहब के साथ भी काम किया है, वो कांग्रेस पार्टी के एमपी थे। मैं जब लोकसभा में था तो वो कांग्रेस पार्टी के लोकसभा में एमपी थे, लेकिन उनको लेकर के कभी कोई असुविधाजनक परिस्थिति बीजेपी के साथ नहीं हुई जैसी धनखड़ साहब के साथ हुई। धनखड़ साहब ने सरकार के पक्ष को, व्यू पॉइंट्स को बहुत मजबूती के साथ संसद में उठाया। लिहाजा जो थ्योरी चल रही है कि कोई कन्फ्रंटेशन है, मुझे उसमें कोई तथ्य नजर नहीं आता।
Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Maria, I have a very brief point to make, and I'm not trying to take pot shots. The fact that the BJP is not a part of this debate tells you what has happened. I again go back and say, I am not here defending Mr. Dhankar because I have a lot of bone to pick with him personally as a citizen of this country. Mr. Tyagi is absolutely right. He put across the point of the government very forcefully. But was he meant to? Was that his job? He was supposed to be bipartisan. There were times when he would even expunged details from Mr. Kharge's speech. He would interfere repeatedly when the leader of the opposition, Rajya Sabha, spoke. I have no love for Mr. Dhankar's style of functioning as vice president. I have love for the position which he was on, and I have concerns on the kind of constitutional compromise that is happening with various positions. I'm asking you a question. Why did Urjit Patel resign? Has anybody asked that question after demonetization? Why did Ashok Lavasa quit and go to ADB? He was an election commissioner. Why did Mr. Dhankar quit? And I will go back and say, anybody who believes he was unwell, I'm not casting aspersions. Was he unwell? I wish him a long, healthy life. But even if he had some health issues, you think these health issues cannot be dealt with while being in the chair? I mean, India's healthcare system, especially for people in parliament and people in constitutional positions, is very good. I think this government owes an explanation to the parliament and the people of this country that why did the second most important constitutional position lie vacant today? And one important thing that I want to say here, you had a former governor appointed by the BJP, Mr. Satyapal Malik, become very critical of them. He was very, very critical, and he was very, very critical of the stand that the BJP has taken on farm issues. The BJP has continuously alienated the farming community of this country, whether it was the 3 laws that they tried to shove down their throats or otherwise. And Mr. Dhankar had also begun to talk a little critically about the farming laws and the farming stand on MSP and things the government has. Is it yet another farmer who has met the fate that Mr. Satyapal Malik met, fall out of favor with the government? I think that's also something worth discussing.
Okay. Professor Sajjan Kumar, as someone who is a keen watcher of political developments, how do you see this entire 24 hours? It was around this time last evening that the resignation news came in.
Yes, I mean, perceptions underwent a paradigm shift. Initially, certainly at 9:30 the news came. It was a surprise, but nevertheless, the first reaction was to trust the letter of the vice president, because there has been sudden announcement like this, say for example by Sushil Kumar Modi, Arun Jaitley, and lots many other leaders. This is one. Two, by morning certainly one expected the treasury benches and the government to come up with certain statement, because being a senior leader, being holding the constitutional post, if certainly the health crisis is so serious that he has to resign at 9:30, then one expects a cordial statement and response. And when that did not come, even when the session today started at 11 a.m., some speculation space was there. Whether that's right or wrong, the speculation is not the point. The point is that the space for the speculation emerged therein. And most importantly, if you do the content analysis of the Prime Minister tweet and compare that with the tweets he made today with regard to other leaders, for example, the former Kerala Chief Minister, Ajit Pawar in Maharashtra, etc., etc. Then the tweet was quite brief with regard to the Dhankar, and certainly one expected more warmth. So that is why the speculation remains. The space is there. So this is about the sort of how do we see the changing perceptions. And I'm not talking about the ones who are embedded to certain party position. This is about how you try to guess and connect the dots. That is
so are
one
you
aspect.
then saying that there's lots to be answered, and particularly there's a lot of intrigue around this?
That seems
and
to
that should be addressed.
That seems to be the case, and certainly the treasury benches seems to be doing not a very kind of serious and customized job, because expectation is to come clean, because this is a matter of a constitutional post, and therefore people certainly wants to know. And in that regard, one need the ruling party and the treasury benches should come up with a sort of explanation, because the vice president is not speaking. He is not coming up with any supplementary position, and that keeps the people kind of guessing. But here one important aspect, Maria, is that this is there is some serious aspect herein, and KC Tyagi sir will concur with me, because this aspect, this crisis that we see today, right?
Yes.
Whether of perception or reality, involves two aspects. One, the parties, ruling party, and the constitutional post and the person who are accompanying that. And this kind of a chemistry and conflict between the party and the people holding the constitutional post is nothing new, and it remains. The more things change, the more they remain the same. Now it's Vice President Dhankar. You remember 2008, it was Somnath Chatterjee, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. You go back in the past, President Gyani Jail Singh and Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, go back. Then you have V.V. Giri and Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy way back in 1969. So it seems that whenever there is a conflict between the person who is holding the constitutional position and the party leadership, ruling party leadership, it's always that the party has an upper hand, and this is not a good signal for institutional health of democracy in India, and this remains true for all the parties to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
One point before I bring in Supriya, I want to bring in KN Nehru now. Lok Sabha MP, what sources in the government are telling us, Mr. Nehru, that of course this was about that impeachment motion which was accepted by the outgoing vice president in the Rajya Sabha, when the government's strategy was to bring it in the Lok Sabha. One may say that because of how critical and crucial this impeachment motion against Justice Verma is, it would be only fair for that kind of coordination to having been expected between the chair and treasury benches.
Madam, let's understand one thing, that this particular episode of the impeachment of sitting judge was actually broached by the ruling government and the treasury benches.
Yes.
And the Congress also voiced its support, because saying that the proper procedure must be followed, and we will support if there is wrong, and we will support it. Now you have a VP who has taken the treasury benches line, and for a simple ego, saying for doing the right thing, that when the opposition's motion was accepted, if for a simple ego, let's believe that the treasury benches were right, let's believe what the ruling party is saying is right, I don't think it augurs well for a vibrant democracy like India to act on a whim of an ego just because the opposition's motion was right. And we also must understand that's an important point to note here, is about a week and 10 days ago, Mr. Haribhushan Thakur, who's an MLA from JDU, I'm not pointing out right or wrong here, had coincidentally mentioned that Nitish Ji should also be felicitated as VP. Now, we're just trying to connect the dots here. Nobody knows, as Professor Sajjan and Professor Vineet also had mentioned, nobody knows the entire facts. But let's not even get anything personal here. This is a constitutional
so the
position.
point that you have made about Nitish Kumar as a potential vice president, KC Tyagi would be able to respond to that.
Right. Let me finish. Okay.
Yes,
Tyagi
please. Go ahead, Mr. Nehru.
Yes. So I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to project something here, but it's just a connection of events. Nothing happens in a standalone manner. There are things that happen afterwards. There are things that happened before. But what we have to understand here is, I am not casting aspersions. All that we are asking is a simple explanation, and we hope that a constitutional position shouldn't be, handled like this after.
Okay. KC Tyagi? Of course, there's a lot of buzz in the corridors of power. 2 months to go for the Bihar elections. Will the Vice President's chair then be filled just ahead of the winter session? That's also a speculation.
मारिया जी, एक तो जो मेरे दोस्त हैं डीएमके के, मैं उनको करेक्ट करना चाहता हूं. हरिभूषण ठाकुर जी इज द मेंबर ऑफ द बीजेपी लेजिस्लेटिव पार्टी. 1 2 ये खबर जब अखबार में छपी कि नीतीश कुमार जी उपराष्ट्रपति बनते हैं तो हरिभूषण ठाकुर ने कहा ये तो बिहार के लिए गौरव की बात होगी. मैं आपके चैनल से अपनी पार्टी की तरफ से बहुत क्लियर करना चाहता हूं कि वो दिल्ली में किसी पद के दावेदार नहीं हैं. वो बिहार के मुख्यमंत्री हैं, एनडीए के कैंडिडेट हैं और एनडीए के चुनाव जीतने के बाद ही जिसकी संभावनाएं हैं वो ही वहाँ के मुख्यमंत्री बनेंगे. इसलिए उपराष्ट्रपति पद के लिए उनके लिए ना हमारे मन में कोई इच्छा है और ना वो चाहते हैं.
Okay. Maria? Supriya, you get the last word on the last word tonight.
No. I don't want to have the last word. I just want to point out one date. It was the 9th of February 2021. Ghulam Nabi Azad was retiring from parliament. And guess who was weeping and who was shedding tears and who got so emotional and choked? It was Mr. Modi. Now compare that choking and those tears for Ghulam Nabi Azad to what happens today, a cryptic 3-line tweet that he had got multiple opportunities and we wish him well. I also want to say one thing here, and I think all of us in public life should keep repeating this, that when you are in a constitutional position, the only guiding light for you has to be the Constitution of India. You don't have to bend backwards to make your political masters or politicians happy. You should do your job and do it well and with honesty. And I think that's a lesson one learns, because politicians cannot be made happy at all times. And look at this ugly fallout that seems to have happened. I'm not speculating, I'm not casting aspersions, but this is unceremonious, it's unprecedented, and it's also unnecessary, if I may.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor Sajjan Kumar, Professor Vineet Singh, Supriya Shrinate, KC Tyagi, and KN Arun Nehru. Joining me now is Arvind Sawant, Member of Parliament of the Shiv Sena UBT faction. Mr. Sawant, of course, there is a lot of speculation that is doing the rounds. There is a lot of unanswered questions. One view is also coming that had Mr. Dhankar grown really close to the opposition and started engaging too much with the opposition leaders, since you are a member of parliament yourself, did you see or sense any change in his behavior, particularly in the last few weeks?
It's not at all. He never become a darling of the opposition. Let it be very open on the subject. So do not create a narrative that yesterday you were in opposition, today has become darling. No, not at all. It's $1 million question. See, if he has ill health, why during the last 3 months of the last session you can see, he did not resign. How you chose the first day of the session? And in the session, when he arrived in the morning in Rajya Sabha, he started conducting the business smoothly. He conducted the business. He was there on the chair. He allowed the opposition leader to speak on certain rules, where he has put up the issue of Pahalgam, which immediately hurt Mr. Nadda, the leader of the house. And the way he has replied to and tried to disturb the speech of the Mallikarjun Kharge ji, the opposition leader in the Rajya Sabha, that shows, he had an intention that the speaker should not have given an opportunity to LOP to speak out this issue. That was his first intention. This is what my observation is there. Then secondly, he was very much healthy. He was nice. He was he was speaking very smoothly. There was no issue as such. Why the first day? Then another incident. He had a meeting where the opposition, the leader of the house and the parliament leader, minister of the parliamentary affairs was to meet him. Both of them did not go to his office and quietly said that we have informed their office. Is it not an insult to the vice president? Is it not an insult to the vice president? They could have gone and said, what was that very, very important work? Let the nation know that they did not have time to go to the appeal made by the vice president to approach them. I don't know. And then there was another issue when Mr. Dhankar ji has announced or issued a notice that 4 o'clock there will be business advisory committee meeting. If he had an intention to resign, he would not have issued the notice for a business advisory committee at all.
Okay.
That shows there is something behind that.
Okay, when...
That proves there is something behind. He must have been forced to resign.
Mr. Sawant, since you are saying that he has been forced to resign, you're talking about a sequence of events which has made you question and perhaps come to this conjecture. Who would force him to resign? And why would he be really forced to resign?
Who runs the nation? Only two leaders. The Supreme Court judge retires and next year joins the Rajya Sabha. Who decides? Is it the President of India? You tell me. Is it the President of India decides? You tell me. The High Court judge from Calcutta, High Court judge, he resigns, next day joins BJP, contests the election, wins the election. How is it? Then what he must have done in the past? Was he as judicious when he was holding the post of a judge of a High Court? $1 million questions are there. Who is running the parliament? Who is running the country? Think of it, introspect, and you will get the answers to that.
Mr. Sawant, it's rather interesting that this is the same opposition which had called him a mouthpiece of the government. This is the same opposition which had brought an impeachment motion against Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar just 6 months ago, and now you are standing with him. How did this change of heart happen?
No, it's not a changing of stand, ma'am. Please, don't create this narrative at all. He was never ever the darling of the Rajya Sabha. We used to meet a member of the Rajya Sabha. He used to work for BJP itself. But then, sudden resignation of the constitutional post, which is holding number 2 post in the country. Is not a Tom, Dick, Harry. Who is resigning? Vice President. Who is attending the office, conducting the business, sitting on the chair, and suddenly by evening you come to me, resign on ill health. If it is so, why not before the session launch? Why on the first day? Why you chose the first day of the session? There was no reason. Of late he had been to JNU. While addressing the students of the JNU, he said, I'll retire, not resign. I'll retire in 2027. The man who said he'll retire in 2027 resigns in 2025. Just think of it. Therefore, nation should come. I believe Dhankar is always used to say himself, I am a Kisan ka beta. And take it from here, day will come. Honorable Dhankarji will say what was the reason that he has resigned.
There's a lot of questions,
he
but...
He cannot keep silent for all the time. And the way BJP's silence speaks a volume.
Of course, Mr. Sawant, as an opposition leader, you will be raising those questions and you have asked a lot of questions. But one thing is clear, that Jagdeep Dhankar, did he perhaps make a move which triggered this, chain of events, ultimately leading to his resignation?
No, not at all. He is that sort of man, we could guess it. I have met him twice.
No, but he came very close to the opposition.
Friendly, open man.
He would meet all of you regularly.
Keep something close inside it. Had he wanted to resign, he would have said it in the house itself. Today is my last day. I have come. I am not feeling well. I will conduct the business. Please cooperate me. This is my last day. I want to resign. He would have said it. I tell you. He is that sort of man. He would have said it in the house itself. He never uttered a single word. On the contrary, and wanted to conduct the business of advisory committee meeting in the evening. There lies the issue. Thank you.
All right, Arvind Sawant, I appreciate your time. On that note, we are slipping into a short break from one intrigue to another. We'll be shifting focus to what really is happening and what is the equation now between Congress MP Dr. Shashi Tharoor and his political party. We'll try and get more details on that.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Fenesta windows, beautiful and durable designs. Installation से maintenance की lifelong customer service. आपके घर में Fenesta नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए.
Fine, finer, Fenesta.
आप एक गुंडे के हेल्थ से बिहेव कर रहे हो सर.
मेरी
आप तो एक Gaikwad is running away from NDTV's questions.
That issue is not before the High Command. It was not discussed so far.
Kolhapuri couples costing $1,300.
The noise we made finally got heard, and it's so nice that somebody took action on it.
Pictures and videos of women that were taken in the Bengaluru metro, now on Church Street and other prominent places in Bengaluru. We managed to arrest both of them.
We are bringing you now, for the very first time, is that the Air India preliminary crash report is out.
This 15-page report into 10 key findings of what really is being said in this probe report.
What's reporting without impact?
The Congress Shashi Tharoor problem seems to be just getting bigger, and it exploded again Tuesday afternoon after the Lok Sabha MP snapped back at critics, in this case K. Muralidharan. Though he did not name the senior Congress leader from Kerala, and he is not with us declaration. On Sunday, in fact, K. Muralidharan, if you remember, a 4-time former MP and 2-time former MLA, had said that Dr. Shashi Tharoor would no longer be welcome to party programs in Kerala till he reverses comments made after the Pahalgam terror attack in April and India's subsequent military response in Operation Sindoor. Today, Tharoor snapped back and said that the leaders should have some basis for making such comments. The Congress Tharoor saga has only gotten more and more intrigue as it has done in the past, and has it come to a point of no return? Let's listen in to what the two leaders said, and then I bring in the guests.
First of all, it seems to me that the people saying this also have to have a basis for saying this. Who are they? What is their party position? I'd like to know. Then we'll see what the answers will be.
No, why they have said so statement in your dedication?
See, don't ask me to explain other people's behavior. You talk to them about their behavior. I can only talk about my own behavior. I've explained my behavior and I'll leave it there.
In Kerala, people, we are very much upset for his performance. Especially the 4th time he was elected from Thiruvananthapuram. Lot of party workers sacrificed for his victory. But he is not coming his conscience also now. The last 2 months he was far away from this conscience. So we decided that in the coming local body election, we are not ready to cooperate with him. Otherwise, High Command, if High Command did give any direction, we will obey that. But now our stand is, we are not cooperate with him.
Siddharth Yadav is the spokesperson of the BJP. Tehseen Poonawalla is a political analyst who supports the Congress. Rashid Kidwai is a senior journalist. Rashid, isn't the Congress becoming, going ahead with this repeated statements the leaders are continuing to make against Dr. Tharoor, making it worse? Why are they not holding back their views? And why is the senior leadership or the Congress High Command not telling that to the Kerala unit?
So, Maria, it seems that in Congress, everybody is happy to be unhappy. See, this is what leadership is all about. So, Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, and Mallikarjun Kharge, who represents a kind of political leadership of the party, must intervene. Whatever be the position, but this kind of deadlock or one-upmanship that we see between Kerala unit of the party and Mr. Shashi Tharoor is not helping party's cause. And Maria, as we know, there is going to be assembly elections early next year. And one of the surveys has indicated that, Mr. Tharoor's face is a chief ministerial face, while the Congress is poised to, defeat the LDF government there. But this kind of masterly inactivity, inaction is hurting the Congress a lot. And for instance, Sonia Gandhi is beating Revanth Reddy tomorrow. She can call, she can summon Shashi Tharoor also. And I'm sure Mr. Tharoor will heed to whatever Sonia Gandhi would tell him. And that the same applies to